Everyone, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners meeting, June 2nd, 2025. First, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. By our student, Sylvia Gutierrez Leyva. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, we need to remove the Old Bund Road annexation and plan development and table it until August 4th meeting.
And Mayor, I would like to also table the board appointments to the July meeting since we've got the budget hearing this evening.
Motion.
Then I'd like to move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion passes. Thank you. School recognition. We would like to recognize Sylvia Gutierrez Leyva. She's an extraordinary student who embodies what it means to be a leader at Wakelon. The three words that describe her best is responsible, kind, and hardworking in class. Sylvia consistently works hard on any task that is assigned is given her without complaining. When she is unsure of something, she doesn't give up or complain, but instead she asks for help to understand better before she gives it another go. Sylvia can also be found collaborating effectively with peers and asking questions and contributing to the conversation. She always seeks to understand others' ideas instead of just offering her own opinion, which always seems to make her approachable individual for her peers. Sylvia is also the go-to for anyone who may be struggling with making friends, especially during recess, because she can always be found inviting other students to participate in whatever activity she may be engaged in. I appreciate Sylvia and her quiet but noticeable leadership in our classroom. The town of Zebulon recognizes Sylvia Gutierrez Leyva, Wakeland Elementary School, for being an outstanding student and a role model for her other students. Signed this day, June 2nd, 2025, Mayor Glenn L. York. Next, we have teacher, Ms. Patrice Williams. Ms. Patrice is a phenomenal third grade teacher. She goes above and beyond expectations when bringing literacy and the love for learning alive for our students. Her positive attitude, bringing literacy and the love for learning alive with our students. Her positive attitude and positive work ethic spread throughout the team of our school. She always looks forward to making the third grade curriculum engaging for her students. She plans monthly engagement opportunities for students to learn about other cultures and differences. She is a great communicator and collaborator. Ms. Williams is amazing, and we are lucky to have her. The town of Zebulon recognizes Patrice Williams, Wakeland Elementary School, for her dedication to the students. Signed June 2nd, 2025 by Mayor Glenn L. York. Next, we will have public comment. If anyone wishes to speak during the public comment session meeting, we have this already signed up. The comment period will be no longer than 15 minutes, with speakers having 3 minutes to speak. No speaker can speak on a public hearing item or any item that would need to be discussed under closed session. Speakers cannot speak more than once during the public comment portion of the meeting and cannot give their time to another speaker. If there is more than one person who wishes to speak on the same topic with the same point of view, it is recommended that you pick one person to speak on that topic. If there is not enough time for everyone to speak, we recommend that you have the opportunity to speak first at our first meeting following the month. First, we have Cindy McLeod. Mallard, sorry. Name and address, please.
My name is Cindy Mallard. I'm at 900 North Church Street. I recently heard a prominent quote that resonated with me: when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. It is with this sentiment that I ask each of you to give the petition careful consideration. By now, I am sure each of you has read the petition and you have a petition in brief in front of you, but I will detail the particulars below. This petition doesn't drudge up ancient history. It details this board's pattern of poor decision-making within the last 2 years. While the recent resignations of the former town manager, Gilbert Todd, and the former assistant town manager, Kellyanne Williams, may have been the final straw, this isn't just a knee-jerk reaction. This petition is your constituents saying, we've had enough. The petition reflects dissatisfaction, not with individual members, but with the detrimental actions and inactions of this board as a collective body, such as failure to appoint a town clerk, meeting minutes backlogged, and an ongoing costly lawsuit. Trust is one of the most important things for a leader to be successful. To me, the Board of Commissioners are supposed to be more than a government entity. They are to act as a caregiver of our community. They should be following the strategic plan for the town to ensure that we are meeting what the town decided was important. By following this plan, it puts the town in a place that prepares us for the future. I believe the taxpayers spoke volumes this past election when they did not approve the transportation bond. How does a town of voters whose #1 complaint is transportation not approve this bond? For me, the answer is a lack of trust in this board. In closing, I want to thank Winter Todd, who will be presenting the petition, for her bravery in representing me and all the other signers. And I want to thank Gilbert and Kellyanne for their extraordinary courage in these uncertain times in our country to decide that their ethics and love of the citizens they serve to resign from their positions. Our board should be ashamed of their hand in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Winter Todd.
Winter Todd, 511 Shepherd School Road, Zebulon. Good evening. My name is Winter Todd, and I'm here tonight as a concerned citizen, a taxpayer, and as the nominated speaker for the Clean Slate petition. I stand before you representing a petition signed by exactly 479 supporters of Zebulon. We believe this number would have been higher had we not experienced sabotage of our efforts. While the saboteur intended to delegitimize this petition, they failed. Instead, their actions only heightened community suspicion about the lengths some might go to silence community members willing to speak out against this board. I, however, am not intimidated or afraid to speak out against this board when truth and transparency for the citizens of Zebulon are on the line. The general sentiment is that someone on this board or someone acting on their behalf is responsible for this sabotage. If that is indeed the case, we hope your behavior lives on in your conscience. On a very deep and personal note, to you who claim the name of Christ in your daily walk and on every personal social media platform that you hold, I pray that your heart is righteously convicted because your witness and your actions leading up to this moment are playing out daily in the minds of voters, and my King is always watching. The community understands that the mayor's seat and Commissioners Miles and Clark's seats are already up for reconsideration this November. So the petitioners are calling for Commissioners Baxter, Harrison, and Davis to resign tonight, with an effective date of November 4th. This timing will allow the town to hold a special election coinciding with their regular municipal election, giving voters a chance to elect a clean slate of new representatives for the remainder of these unexpired terms. If Commissioners Baxter, Harrison, and Davis refuse to resign, they owe this community, this room, an explanation tonight, detailing why they have chosen to ignore the hundreds who have signed the petition. Mayor York, after my comments conclude, I ask you to formally request their intentions. Should they refuse resignation, we urge you, with guidance from the town attorney, to initiate a motion proceedings for their removal for just cause as detailed in our petition and supported by North Carolina law. Finally, to Commissioners Baxter, Harrison, and Davis, what do you lose by resigning? If you believe you have served this community well, stand on your own record, run for re-election, and let the Zebulon voters decide this November. Thank you.
Next, we will have Beverly Clark.
Don't know me standing here tonight. My name is Beverly Wall Clark. I'm a lifetime resident of Zebulon. I have served as town commissioner for 24 years. My dad served the town as mayor. My family has always served this town, and we have had special love for the people here. Frankly, that's the reason I ran for commissioner, to help people through good acts to promote Zebulon's business life and improve the personal lives of its residents. As you know, we are experiencing the largest amount of growth the town has ever had. This growth demands a board of commissioners and mayor that are in tune to these needs and have the education and experience to carry out the duties without bias to properly serve the needs of the town's people. As we also know, this board and our mayor are undergoing substantial criticism for the lack of professionalism, toxic attitudes, and an unwillingness to do what's best for the general population of Zebulon. Due to the lack of confidence in the board, There has been a petition circulating for the immediate resignation of all members not currently up for re-election this November, and the petition states a lack of public trust with the entire board. In fact, to date, there are 479 people that have signed the petition, including myself. The resonating truth and popularity of this online petition has caused it to be sabotaged by fake persons placing signatures of deceased people on it. The attacks by these fake online personalities have been going on for quite some time, as they are giving support for certain commissioners and their corrupt agendas. It is only my opinion, but maybe some of the commissioners are responsible for these fake personalities being used online to attack people and to further mislead the townspeople. The Board of Commissioners has seemingly been quietly sabotaged as well by certain commissioners to gain the control vote of most issues. I know that I can hardly get a motion seconded, much less approved by the board, no matter how good it is for the people. Most of the time, I stand alone. There is no doubt in my mind that this board is not interested in what's best for the people, but are mainly interested in their own power, promoting their own political careers, and using their elected platform to do it. I cannot sit here and allow this to happen to the town I love. Therefore, in the best interest of the residents of Zebulon, I am in favor of having a whole new board and mayor. For the last time in my political career, I want my voice to be heard for the people I truly love. Therefore, in a show of solidarity with the concerned and active citizens who have organized to expose this board, I am resigning as Zebulon Town Commissioner, effective immediately. And I call for the resignations of Commissioners Shannon Baxter, Amber Davis, and Jessica Harrison, so that the people of this town get the opportunity to elect a board of new leaders. To the people of Zebulon who have supported me for decades, thank you and I love you. Even if you have not supported me, I love you because I love this town. My hope is that the people of Zebulon will not see this as merely quitting. Instead, I hope you will see it as I care enough about Zebulon to be the change I want to see in our town. Again, thank you for allowing me to serve.
Next, we will have Kevin Pittman.
Raleigh, North Carolina, 276.
One second.
One second. Pittman, 210 Cook Street, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27610. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kerwin Pittman. I'm the Director of Policy and Programming for a group called Emancipate NC that looks at structural racism and biases inside of the criminal justice system, but also looks at different biases inside of different governmental institutions. I also sit on several commissions, such as the Task Force for Racial Equity and Criminal Justice, appointed by former Governor Roy Cooper and reappointed by current Governor Josh Stein. Today I came here to speak about the democratic process and letting democracy play its role. Though I am one who champions and will always champion the voice of the people and for the people, I can personally attest to County Commissioner Harrison's role in being an equitable person, somebody always fighting for what's right, and somebody always standing in solidarity when wrong is done. And I am a person who stands on right is right and wrong is wrong. And from my understanding and my purview of what's going on, I stand in solidarity with the Board of Commissioners. And though this may be an opposition and opinion of some of you all, but as somebody who looks from a point of view that's not rooted in opinion and personal feelings, and look at the actual fact and finding of what's going on, and somebody who do this for a living, I stand in solidarity with these commissioners. To the commissioners who are being asked to resign, if you know in your heart what you did was right and just, then stand on that. I ask today that you remain and hold your positions and let the people decide when it is time for re-election. Do not be swayed by unpopular opinions in a time where you need to remain steadfast. Again, my name is Kerwin Pittman, and I do this for a living. This isn't an opinion rooted in how I feel. This is somebody that looked at the fact and finding of each case and different structural racist biases that play in different institutions and can say when right is right and wrong is wrong. Thank you.
Harrison? Torrey, I'm sorry.
Torrey Harrison, 512 Carissa Lane, Zebulon, North Carolina. Good evening. My name is Torrey Harrison. I reside at 512 Carissa Lane. As many of you may know, or some of you don't know, Commissioner Harrison is my wife. She has diligently served on this board since 2021, working tirelessly to represent this community's interests. I stand before each of you all today saying that this small, minute number of people that have signed this clean slate petition does not represent the number of voters that stand in this town. It is a very small populace and does not nearly represent the entire voting population at all. So calling for someone to step down because someone else feels like they are right is very subjective. I would ask you all to look at things for yourself and don't just jump on the bandwagon just because someone else who may be influential has said something about doing so. I know that my wife working tirelessly is something that is not only good for this community, but if you look around me and you see the number of supporters that are standing behind us, not that we offered anybody a free hamburger to come and sign a piece of paper, not that we asked that we were going to give something away so that we could get somebody. These are people standing up here in solidarity because they believe in truth, not clapping because of ignorance or something else is taking place. So I stand with you all because I know that this is a hard job to do. I know that the countless hours that you spend away from your families. I know that you don't just do this just to be doing it, because it takes hours away from your family and your loved ones. So I wouldn't stand up here and ask you all to step away from something that you all love and you obviously put your time, effort, and energy into. I wouldn't be so selfish to do that. So I stand with the board. I do not stand for the clean slate, which only represents a very small, minute population of Zebulon. I stand in solidarity with you all. And as you can see, we have people that stand with you all as well. Thank you.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
To approve the, you pull the thing? Okay.
One thing just to talk about really fast first. It's the Little River. May I like to pull the Little River Park deed of gifts, just to get a little bit better understanding of that, please.
What was this? Which little?
the Park and Rec Little River deed of gifts, just get a little bit better understanding of it.
The agenda again?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
The consent.
Agenda.
You just want to pull that piece. All right, thank you.
And that will
A little
be,
better understanding.
and we'll move that to,
It would be item D under new business, please.
D.
We pulled C.
We pull.
Oh, okay. I make,
Motion for the amended consent agenda.
Not yet, but I would like to make that an amended, motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we will have budget hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Today, FY budget public hearing is an opportunity for the public to express their thoughts, ideas, concerns, and opinions about the recommended fiscal year 26 budget. The Board of Commissioners is not expected to engage in any dialogue tonight, just to listen if there are comments. However, before that happens, I will present the recommended budget to you. Again, I've done this a couple times, but I believe for the benefit of the audience and for those who may be catching up and would like to provide some comments, I think this presentation may be very helpful. So before I go into the presentation, however, it's an outline of our discussion, starting with North Carolina General Statutory Requirements. The North Carolina General Statutes requires that every municipality adopts a budget by the 1st of July of every year. And however, before that happens, internally, it's also required that we submit requests and revenue estimates. So we've done this. We've made, over the last several weeks, we've provided budget requests to you by department. And today is the day we hold a public hearing, but we have to have a budget adopted before July 1st. So here's the process that we've gone through over the last few weeks. Between April 28th and May 5th, we did a budget survey that reached about 4,400 residents on Facebook. On May 5th, we had 3 departments presented to you at the work session, followed by another one on May 7th. On May 14th, we had an open house, an initial open house, and a budget work session number 3. And then on May 20, we had another open house to continue to engage our residents, and then I made a recommendation to you on that very evening, culminating in today. Next week, this coming Saturday, June 7, we're going to have a budget retreat that starts at 8:30 a.m. and ends at 12:30 p.m. During that time, the board will have listened to your comments as residents. The board has had staff presented. It will be an opportunity to do a deeper dive into the budget requests. And this will be an opportunity also to consider some of what we may be hearing tonight from the public, but it's also an opportunity for you to reach out to your constituents and get us to understand exactly what their concerns, their opinions, and their ideas may be with regards to budget. That retreat will be held in the lobby of the building, so that way we can accommodate our residents who want to join us, but it will be an opportunity to engage in dialogue with us. The plan is to come back between June 9 and 30. Right now, we're looking at coming back to you June 16 for consideration of budget adoption. If that's not possible, we've also set up a backup date of June 23. That allows us to go back and forth in engaging in conversations with regards to the budget. I believe that every budget should not be about numbers, but about vision. Budgets should tell a story of our hopes and aspirations, in this case, the hopes and aspirations of residents of Zebulon, who have been here for their entire lives, and those who have just moved here recently, and the people who do business in our town. Budget should also be about how we plan to meet the challenges that we face as a growing community. So while growth is a challenge, it's also an opportunity. And so this budget is about investing in the future of Zebulon's residents, while we also support the staff who help make that future possible. That's why we have the theme, moving forward together, supporting the staff, and investing in the growth of our town. There are 5 different areas of what I call budget drivers, of areas that we think of investing in if we're going to really continue to maintain the quality of life and improve the quality of life of everyone who lives, who calls Zebulon home. These drivers are not weighted, and there's no particular value attached to them, but they are things that we hear about every week from you, but also from our residents. And now you will see, as I kind of share with you what's in the 2030 strategic plan and the hundreds of responses we received from residents, where there's some alignment that's allowed us to kind of title this as the budget driver. So these 5 things form the basis for what you will call a winning community. At the end of the day, it's about quality of life for everyone, whether you go to school here, whether you're retired and on fixed income, whether you are working here or you just do business here. It's really about quality of life from the time you wake up and the time you go to bed, and even when you're in bed. It's supposed to be able to provide to our residents and businesses some level and degree of assurance that the town is looking after their best interest. And so the budget drivers really connect the dots between our 2030 strategic plan and our community feedback that we received. So again, in 2018, 2019, thereabout, the board then adopted the 2030 strategic plan. And what you see on the left side of the screen is really a strategic plan that focuses on 3 key areas. The Zebulon will have a vibrant downtown. The Zebulon will grow smart, and to protect our small town life. So while the language used in the 2030 strategic plan is not necessarily the same as the 2025 hundreds of responses that we received from the public, there is a lot of telling the same story. So for example, if you want to continue to have a vibrant downtown, you also want it to be safe. You want to have a vibrant downtown, you want economic stability. If you want a community that's growing smart, you want to invest in transportation and infrastructure. We heard tonight about the bond referendum again. I think it's really what you have from your residents are in alignment to a large degree with what's in your 2030 strategic plan. And so it's very important that we don't focus so much on the 88% versus the 18%, but the fact is that these are key things that mean quality of life to one or more residents of Zebulon. So how do we address this? And it is by going through what we've requested for over the last few weeks in terms of operating and capital as part of our budget. And so staff made multiple requests, which I'm going to go over. I was also able to present to you the recommendation that came out of the compensation study that was done last year. We have some capital needs that are not necessarily comparable to what we had in the current fiscal year. They're slightly less, but they are nevertheless meeting some of the needs of our community. We're going to talk about the tax rate, where we are, and what we're proposing as part of the budget, and then we'll talk about our funds balance. So let's go with this. You've had this over the last several weeks of our department directors presenting to you their individual operating budgets and their capital budgets. But this slide shows everything in one place. As to when we say governing board, that's yourself. That includes training. That includes being able to meet the needs of the residents, whether it's on a Monday like this or on different days of the week. Administration, of course, includes the manager's office, communications manager, and human resources will be separated out of administration for the very first time, just like we did with information technology last year and economic development. So again, this budget positions us to be able to address the growth that we have and the growth that is to come. If we do nothing today, Zebulon is projected to have about 20,000 residents in another few years. That's about 13,000 today, so we're talking about almost 7,000 more residents. That's not 7,000 vehicles. That's times 2, probably. And most people who move into your town, they don't come with their asphalt, all right? And they don't come with their homes as well, unless it's a mobile home, of course. And so it's important to plan today for that future. And so reflected in these operating budgets are not just salaries, but also street paving. How do we move solid waste? How do we recycle? How do we do some of the things that we do that really mean quality of life for our residents? And so this stays the same. Police department is asking for 2 patrol officers, which obviously means 2 additional vehicles. 1 social worker. We've seen a difference in having social workers as part of the current budget, and they're asking 1 more because we want to build on that success. In the administrative office where the manager, the administration office where the manager is, we're converting the assistant town manager position to assistant to the town manager for a couple reasons. One, we get a lot of requests for events that are not necessarily falling in parks and recreation or public works, but town-wide. Sometimes you have a request to have a town hall. That person will help work on logistics for that. There are some requests from the community that do not fall in a particular department. You can go to the executive assistant to the town manager, who will work with different departments to make sure that those responses are responded to, are addressed immediately. We're converting the communications director to communications manager, not necessarily to change the focus of that job, but as much as possible to make it really more of a public information officer type of a person, not a jack of all trade type of person. We're also going to be hiring a part-time human resources administrative assistant. We have our HR director, Philip, will be starting work in 2 weeks' time, and so they will have a part-time person to support them through that process. Now, the rest of it is really more of repurposing existing position, converting part-time position. We're also going to be looking at market adjustments, which I'll talk about that briefly, and also having student internship in our information technology department. So the compensation study was presented to the management team during my first go-around as interim, and that recommendation was made back in November, but I was able to present that to you last month. I think for the first time you saw that. And there were 3 options that were presented as part of that. The option that really does the job is option 1. Someone may look at the 95% of employees impacted and wonder why. The reason is because option 1 essentially takes the range that a particular employee is right now that's not competitive, moves it into a competitive environment for them. Not all employees are in that space. Some employees, their ranges of salaries are okay today, but for all of our employees, it's going to have huge impact in that we don't have to come back to you in 6 months or in 1 year to do the same thing again, but you can actually rest assured that this will help us to be able to compete with surrounding towns and even beyond. So that's why I'm recommending option 1 as part of the budget. For our capital needs, we actually have 4 areas that we're focusing on: road improvements, parks and recreation, facilities and equipment, and as well as police vehicles. Now, we want you to pay attention to the facilities and equipment for fire station. That project itself is going to cost over $17 million, but we have funding coming from outside of Zebulon. So Zebulon's portion is really 5.9, which will allow us to be able to build that fire EMS station. Our tax rate will stay flat, the same rate that we have right now. It's not going up, and that will help us to generate about in excess of $15 million that will actually help us achieve some of what I just shared with you as we go into this new budget year. So again, there will be no increase in tax rate. Our fund balance is healthy. If you look at that graph, we are actually almost going back to where we were in 2020. And I've said this before again, a healthy fund balance definitely helps our bond ratings. And I think you have one of the highest fund balance in the state. So I think it's something to be proud of. But I also think it's also something that our community will look at, that they will say that we are managing our finances appropriately. So again, for the benefit of those who are watching, a fund balance is really your reserve. And that basically has a requirement by the local government commission, how much you put into that every year. The board has set aside a higher rate to put into that, higher than what the state has required. And that's why we are at that point. So again, usually we call this manager's recommendation, but frankly speaking, there's no way I could have done this by myself. And so I want to thank our department directors and their staff for helping to put this together to get us to be able to put this accelerated time schedule in front of you. So recommended, last year we actually adopted $29 million. But through the year, as you know, we had changes, things happen. And so we've been able to amend our budget. That the amended budget is roughly $36 million approximately. This recommended budget is not far removed from last year's. Last year's was 29. This is $28.8 million. Again, if you look at the property tax and how much you are able to receive as revenue, it will be slightly higher this year, while the sales tax will go down. Considering what's happening in our country, we are being conservative with our sales tax estimation, and that's what you see there. But you can also see that the fund balance will go down slightly, but it's still in the same range that will keep us at that 89 million where we were about 5 years or so ago. So we've done all of this in order to be able to meet the budget that was presented to you. So that recommended budget, again, has no tax increase from prior year, which is this current fiscal year. It reflects your strategic goals as documented in the 2030 strategy plan. It responds to our community input as best as we can with what we have. It's a priority budget that maintains a healthy fund balance, and it's driven by our town's growth. Tonight, you're going to hear again projects that are being presented to you in terms of where we're going. And again, if we don't do anything at all and we just stay with where we are today, Zebulon will continue to grow. How do we make sure that we have the right budget that will help that growth to happen in a smart manner? So now is the time for public hearing. Again, it's the opportunity for the public to express their thoughts, their ideas, concerns, and opinions regarding the recommended budget and the proposed modifications that you may have. You as the board will not engage in dialogue at this time. You may ask us questions if you want to, but the public has questions that will be pertaining to the budget. It's important for them not only to speak tonight, but those who are not able to, they should please direct their questions to myself or any one of our staff following the public hearing. Mayor, I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will declare the public hearing open. And we'll ask the public for comment. Anyone wishes to speak will come to the podium on my left. State your name, address for the record. Anyone wishes to speak in favor of the budget? Hearing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the budget? State your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Walton. I live in 4014 Watson Drive in Zebulon. I'm speaking here tonight in opposition to the current budget proposal for this year. While for the most part I'm fine with the current proposed budget, there are 7 things that I oppose in the current proposal. The first thing I oppose in the budget proposal is the Judge Street North Arundel Avenue signal improvement. I oppose this project because, like the Old Bund Shepherd School signal improvement that was approved and funded last year, this signal improvement will essentially light our taxpayer funds used to build this on fire. I say this because, as I always been saying repeatedly, vehicle infrastructure improvements will never solve traffic in the long term. This is because individual vehicles are immensely inefficient in transporting vast amounts of people. Due to this and how this country has been demolished to revolve around the reliance of an individual vehicle to get from point A to point B without sacrifice since the end of World War II with the suburban experiment. Eventually, this reliance has resulted in our country's vehicle infrastructure getting clogged repeatedly, increasing the time it takes to get from point A to point B. The solution is always implemented without fail is to expand vehicle infrastructure. And while yes, this will solve congestion, it will only solve it in the short term. This is because the average person is like electrons in that they always take the path of least resistance, which is an individual vehicle, and improving vehicle infrastructure encourages the average person to drive more instead of seeking alternative means of transportation. In addition to this, as an area's population increases, just like how our town's population is growing, there will be more vehicles on the road on top of the ones already there. Eventually, in a short amount of time, they'll all get clogged up. They will all clog up the new vehicle infrastructure, bringing the traffic situation back to square one or even worse. Sorry. Solving nothing in the long term. This is why I say that this project, if approved in this budget, will light the funds used to build it on fire, because that's going to be the outcome. The only way to solve traffic is to end our current reliance of an individual vehicle to get from point A to point B without sacrifice, and have viable alternatives to driving like we used to have prior to the end of World War II. We do have alternatives to driving here in town with Smart Ride / Go Wake Access and the ZWX bus. While I love all these services and I personally use them, they are unfortunately not viable alternatives to driving because they are underfunded and constrained to using the same vehicle infrastructure as everyone else. Which brings me to the next 5 things that I pose in this budget, which are stagnant funding for Smart Ride, no funding for sidewalks, greenways, public transit / government exclusive roads, and a ZWX bus. Oops. Sorry about that. I would rather these $1.9 million go to improving all or some of these, because it will make these alternatives more viable over time and actually aid in solving traffic compared to one money-burning single improvement. The final thing I'm opposed to in this budget is keeping the property tax rate the same. While I understand there's a limit to a government taxing its average taxpayer until, While I understand there's a limit to a government taxing its average taxpayer until you impoverish them, as I stated before in the past, for the exception of the federal government, going to debt to fill budget shortfalls for all other levels of government is really a bad idea unless it's an emergency. So the only realistic way to fund more things / services is to make cuts to current services or raise taxes. While this proposed budget is balanced, there have been some cuts compared to last year's budget. So to fill back in some of these cuts or fund just a little more things / services, I want the property tax rate to be raised from 57.7 cents to 58 cents. This will give the government a little more tax revenue to play with to do this, but not burden property taxpayers too much. So in conclusion, I asked of this government, before adopting this year's budget, to not light $1.9 million on fire with an ultimately pointless signal improvement, and to instead spend these funds improving our current alternatives to driving, and finally raise the property tax rate by 1/3 of a cent to fill in some of these cuts made or fund a little more things / services. Thank you.
Manager, could I please ask that we get Nicholas the information about the expanded bus routes through the budget appropriation from Deborah Ross? Okay, all right.
It's just that it will only happen like 2 years, so yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Milton Robinson. I reside at 336 Rustling Way in Zebulon. I'm here to speak on behalf of the youth. I'm not either for nor against the budget. I believe it's a good budget, but I believe the town should set some of the profit revenue aside for our children. We've already stated how fast this community is growing, yet I don't feel that Boys and Girls Club and the Recreation Department provides enough revenue for our children that are here currently and the ones that will be coming into our town to provide quality of living for them, if that makes sense. I believe the board should consider setting some more money aside for programs or buildings for them to be able to use their time wisely versus their imagination and getting in trouble, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to speak against opposition of the budget?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm speaking with concerns for the budget, not because of the specifics on the budget, but because I'm seeing a pattern over the years I've lived here in Zebulon. This budget is being sprung on us tonight, and I don't have a lot of good things to tell you because I haven't had to research it. I like to research everything before I give public commentary. The problem is, the reason I can't research is because I'm just hearing about it now. And this has been the pattern that's been going on for a long time. It is possible in the efforts of transparency to provide this information with regard to where money's going to go specifically and how it will be used long before we get into the budget building process. In fact, if you were to start with a 0-point budget and literally say that no one has any money in their department at all until they justify how they used it last year and show how they're going to improve upon that usage this year, then we're able to move forward. For example, I was just taking some quick notes. The police said they want to have a social worker. What is that social worker going to do? Are they going to address mental health issues? Well, what level of qualification and credibility will that social worker have towards critical mental health issues? How will they test that individual to determine whether the individual is qualified? Do they have the clinical background and judgment to know how to manage a situation in a crisis? Is the social worker there to help the police? Again, we go back to what type of trauma and training as well as personality disorder differentiation. We're talking about adding a position which is going to cost the taxpayers in this town a great deal of money. And governmentally, when a position gets added, it rarely goes away. So should we as citizens know long before this meeting, not only what the position is going to do, how much it's going to cost, but how it will be evaluated? What I'm suggesting is that we have 3 areas of problems which are causing issues here in our town. And those problems haven't been addressed yet. And I'm not picking on all of you at the table because I understand you are probably as frustrated as me at times with some of this information. I have heard some of you vociferously speak out on our behalf to try to get answers, which were not available. So I'm encouraging us to take a different approach, not only to the budget, but to governance. And that approach is start having people who hold positions of authority in Zebulon accountable to their jobs. When we say we're going to put on a movie night and no one shows up and no signs are there to tell people it was canceled, there was a mistake made. When we say we're going to put in a position but we can't justify from an accounting point of view or from a legal point of view that that position is going to fulfill its node, that is a mistake and it is a violation of public trust. We need transparency, not last minute. We need accessibility, not when it's convenient to someone in the town. And we need accountability for anybody who chooses to become a public servant. Honestly, I think that's the biggest problem we have right now. And it's something that I'm hoping this group here will address, because from what I'm hearing, it will be addressed to you if you don't address it. And that issue is, we are supposed to be public servants, which means we are at the behest of people. We work for the people. We answer to the people. Mr. Mayor, I've heard you say that several times. I've heard you invite commentary. We need to have the information available to the public so that we can have the awkward, dirty, nasty democracy process of arguing it out before decisions made. And whether it be lawsuits or resolutions, the public needs to have some say in how their money is spent, how their resources are used. I don't have a problem with the budget as you present it because I don't know enough about it. I have a problem that tonight, this budget is being put forward without explanation. And this is the same way it's been every bloody year. And it wasn't just this group of people, it was done with the previous commissioners and the previous mayor before. What I'm suggesting, my fellow citizens, is it's time for accountability. It's time for change. And it's time for specifics. And I would encourage you to force those upon people who are not willing to take it upon themselves. Because if you want to be a public servant, you need to serve, not dictate. I thank you for your attention.
Speak in opposition of the budget. Anyone wishes to speak neither for or against the budget? Hearing none. Do we have any electronic requests about the budget?
No, sir.
Any letters?
No, sir.
Thank you. If no one else wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing. Next, we will have Park and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you about the updates to the youth program financial aid policy. This policy is an existing policy. It was an initiative of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. They raised the additional funds to start the financial aid program. The current policy was adopted by the board in February of 2022. The recommended updates were considered by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and were recommended by them on March 17th of 2025. The key revisions to the policy include special considerations and payment plans. Give me just one moment, I'm going to pull that up. You'll find under the special considerations under the policy itself, under section 2, under eligibility, we specifically note that there might be times where there are extenuating circumstances. So the policy as it stands, if an individual is in need of financial assistance, there are current programs and agencies that review and verify that there's a need. And so without the town having to be the person reviewing and considering whether or not an individual and their family is in financial need, we rely on existing government programs that already verify that. But we recognize that sometimes there may be special circumstances and something out of the ordinary may occur. And so what we are looking to do is make the advisory board chair and the vice chair a review of special considerations with a 2-week turnaround. And so that was the biggest revision here. And also noting that if a candidate is denied financial aid, noting that we will work with them to establish a payment plan to ensure that we are limiting opportunities to families that may be experiencing financial issues and having that not prevent the kids from participating in a program. And I'm available to answer any questions that you may have, but staff recommends that the board adopt the revisions to the youth program financial aid policy consistent with the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Any questions, comments from the board? Commissioner Baxter.
Yeah, my only concern is that by including appointed board members onto that committee to review that information, that perhaps sensitive or potentially uncomfortable financial situations of some of our residents might get out into the general public instead of being kept in-house with just our employees. So that's where my heart is worried about just protecting the names and financial situations of people that might potentially apply.
I think that's a fair concern. We could address that by holding a meeting where the papers are not distributed publicly or by email or anything of that, but that they are shared at a meeting with just those individuals and they can make the decision.
Can we retract the names and addresses of the applicants when the committee members are going through the applications?
Absolutely, we can make it a blind process.
Okay, let's do that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Davis, go ahead.
Question, Sheila. It says for like examples of qualifying assistance include programs such as SNAP and Section 8 housing assistance and Medicaid. What happens if on the national level those programs are eliminated? How do we then require, or what can we ask for them to provide for documentation?
I don't think I'd have to go back and reread, but I provide examples, but I'm not limiting it to just those opportunities. So there could be a new government assistant program that is established that we don't know. Maybe it gets a new name. But I find it unlikely in the here and now that all government, like financial aid government assistant programs are going to go away. But if that is something that happens, then we would need to come back and revisit an alternative. We would have to figure that out in that moment. But I would say right now, I'm not aware of there being mass loss of all government system programs that are impacting those in need.
It is actually a concern that is happening right now, and I share the same sentiments as Commissioner Baxter has stated. I just want to make sure that we're not doing something that's going to eliminate any possibility for the financial assistance program. Obviously, this is a great program, and we're here to help the youth as much as possible. So I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to make a hindrance, to make it harder for them. And so if we're asking them to provide documentation, I hear you say that we can alter the wording. I too agree that this should not go before certain members of boards. This is something that we want to make sure that we protect and that we're giving the youth and those families every opportunity they can. My thoughts are if we start making it difficult, then we might get hesitation for people to apply. And then that's less youth that are able to be active in our community. And the less youth that are active, we know that the alternative result can be something negative. So I just want to make sure that we are presenting something that people can come and apply for, but they feel comfortable. And if they're giving away, if they're giving out personal information that could make them hesitant, I just want to make sure that we're careful with that. And again, if that's something where these programs are being eliminated, I want to figure out what we can do. I don't know if we need to table this and talk about this again, or if we can figure out wording to change. But I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to hesitate people to come forward.
So the updates before you, we believe are making it a little bit easier for the community members that are wanting to apply for it or may, under the general process would be ineligible, so we're trying to make it easier for families that might be experiencing financial challenges that haven't yet been approved for government assistance, or just barely miss it. And so we're trying to make it easier for them to apply through this process. The what if scenario, I understand and I appreciate the concern and where you're coming from. I think that we would really have to be responsive. We won't be the only ones. This is a very common process for municipalities to issue parks and recreation financial aid programs. And so we would not be alone, and we would be able to work with our colleagues to determine if all of those government programs were to disappear, how do we make sure we put a process in place that our kids aren't impacted? Because, I mean, we want kids participating. We want all participating. And so that was something that we would, it wouldn't affect just us, and we would coordinate with our colleagues across the state and with our state associations that monitor this type of thing and can help guide us as those types of concerns come before us. We would be able to respond and bring something back.
I hear what you're saying. I just want to make sure that before that we go ahead and agree with it, that is the wording. Again, I hear you that we're trying to make it easier, but sometimes the wording that we choose can make it a little bit more difficult.
And we in your motion, if you choose to move forward, you can add the piece for us to make sure that the process is blind for the participants.
And maybe perhaps include verbiage for extenuating circumstances for an applicant?
Verbiage?
Verbiage, like just for also, you know, you'll evaluate what a family's extenuating circumstances might be.
Yeah.
Examples of what that looked like?
Well, that was something I was going to mention, was the extenuating circumstances one. That amendment there, I'm just a little nervous to put the one time per year, one participant for extenuating circumstances, because if someone has an extenuating circumstance and they need financial aid, it may be more than just once a year, especially if they're having a change in their family or a sudden death. Or I don't know if it says death, change in family. So I would like to see that verbiage kind of changed around a little bit, if not removed altogether, for those reasons.
I think for me, it's.
Go ahead. I had another question.
Speaking on to the people that I've turned on to this program, is one of the biggest concerns is their privacy. They're hesitant to go about it. So now if you put it in the hands of the chair and the vice chair, you have two citizens that are basically getting that information that a lot of them are already reluctant to give. When they come to the Park and Rec director, to your department to turn that paperwork in, that's one of the things they ask Commissioner Miles, is it going to be where nobody else knows what I'm going on? Just because I'm having a hard time and want my kid to play, I don't want to be discriminated or judged by that. So that brings a real concern to me as well.
Commissioner Davis.
Can you also speak to the statement if the financial aid balance is less than 500, special consideration applications will not be considered? Can you further explain that?
So that is putting the priority on those that are eligible, that have been reviewed by existing government agencies that have been confirmed they are in financial need. So that is putting priority on those individuals to make sure that the funds are available for them. I mean, we could go through $500 in just one quarter. I would venture to say this current quarter we would have issued well over $500. So I think that's what the purpose, our purpose of that was, but if you want to remove that, we're happy to hear what your interests are.
Yeah, I would like to go back and look at that further. I'm not a fan of that statement. I just want to make sure, even if there are funds that are readily available, I just want to make sure that it's being used for everybody under any circumstance.
I'm thinking with all the questions we have, you guys, I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, if I could, please.
The what?
You know what?
All the questions that we're having right now, I think it's going to be beneficial to us to table this and come back in our August session and discussion and go from there.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we table this to our August session.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
would like to get this passed with some kind of urgency, because I think it's important for our kids and our families. And so if there is verbiage that needs to be changed, I feel like we've got two additions that can be added. Can you ask your questions now, Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Miles? Or can we maybe not wait until August? Can we move this to our July board meeting instead?
I think with everything we're going on right now with the budget, that's priority right now for me. Because like I said, to give that budget the attention that it needs, August would suffice. Right now, the program that we have is currently working because I know numerous people have taken advantage of it. So I don't think that urgency is there right now, and I understand what you're saying. But August, I think by the time it comes back in August, we can have that verbiage. We've had ample opportunity to sit down with the Park and Rec director and get those questions answered that we have, and then have something kind of before us, how we want it to look, tailored to how we think it needs to be, and kind of go from there.
I do hear you when you say there's an urgency. There's always going to be urgency when it comes to whatever we can do for our youth, but we just want to make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah.
So I don't want to push something fast just to get something done. If this is something that can go before us between July and August, I'm okay with that.
Right.
But I'm proposing that we do not pass this as is tonight.
Well, I don't think that needs to be passed as it stands. You know, we could make the changes that you've brought up.
Yeah, I would like to just go ahead and see those changes before I make a motion to pass.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. The motion is to table until the July
To August, sir.
to August regular meeting. What
Yes, sir.
date is that?
It's going to be, what date is that?
August 4th.
August 4th.
That would need to be included in your motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we table the youth program financial policy for further discussion to August 4th, 2025 meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Roll vote. Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Harris? Commissioner Miles?
Favor.
Commissioner Baxter?
Not in favor.
You break the tie, Mayor.
Yes. All he says for the tie. Yes, what's your voice? I think your voice.
I think we need to move forward on this. You know, we have kids that we just had comments about we're not doing enough for our kids as far as programs are concerned. Yeah, I'm not in favor for moving it out to May, till August.
August?
Make a motion to adopt the revisions as amended to the youth program financial aid policy.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Just like to be made it known that this program is very important. I've seen numerous people use it. I want you to know that my stance is this, that giving it the ample amount of time to make sure we give it the due diligence to make sure people privacy is protected and they get the attention that's needed is very important to me. And doing it in a kind of like, the program is currently working as it stands. I want that to be made known, that the programs are being utilized as of last week. I know citizens are using it. So to understand the changes that we're doing now, what we're putting into one or two individual hands, and we're kind of potentially putting out there where people information is being put out there, brings a concern to me.
The amended motion does make sure that it's a blind process. So I think that at least might help with that concern.
One point of clarification, Mayor Pro Tem Harrison, just to state as amended, just to be clear what amendment you're referring to. And
The amendments of changing the verbiage and making it a blind process, that you said you would make those changes? That's what the amended.
3 things noted. You want me to read them back?
Yeah.
Sure, that would be great.
Okay. To ensure that when it's reviewed, when only the letter seeking special consideration is reviewed by the advisory board chair and vice chair, that it will be a blind process, and that we will remove the limitation of the $500 balance for special consideration, and we will remove the one-time eligibility per year. Did I capture that correctly?
And you said the extenuating circumstances?
That was the one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that, perfect, thank you.
can you share what that blind process will look like?
We would remove all names and addresses. Any identifying information would be removed from the letter that is submitted to the advisory board chair and vice chair. So we could remove that information so that no sensitive information would be shared.
Any other questions or comments?
Makes the board more comfortable. We also have the option of tabling this until July, if that would suffice what you're questioning, Mr. Miles, Commissioner Miles.
We're fine.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll vote, Commissioner Davis,
Not in favor.
Commissioner Harrison, Commissioner Miles,
Not in favor.
Commissioner Clark, Baxter.
In favor.
Mayor?
I'm in favor. Motion passes. Thank you. Next, nonprofit event rental.
Good evening, Mayor, and, well, we already said good evening. I'm back again. But Mayor and Commissioners, I'm presenting information from the Special Event Committee at the request of an applicant. And just as a reminder, while I stand here, I am merely just a representative of a group of town staff from several departments. So the Special Event Committee includes the Public Works Department, the Fire Department, the Police Department, as well as a representative of downtown when it applies. The presentation tonight is regarding a Latino festival. The applicant is Community Cultural Celebrations. You also hear them referred to as C3 and La Grande NC. The event date in the packet that you received is Sunday, August 10th, 2025. However, we received an application amendment this morning with the requested change to July 12th, 2026. The requested event setup time is 9 a.m. to noon. The event time is noon to 7 p.m. The breakdown is 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the activities are a Latino cultural festival with live music, performances, family activities, food trucks, and vendors. The map before you reflects the event boundary, the support areas, as well as the detour that would be required to submit or to support this event. The event boundary is slightly different from the one requested by the event organizer at a meeting on August 15th. We talked with the event organizers about not closing the intersection of Arundel and Vance because that would impact our fire department's ability to access the firehouse, but it also impacts the emergency response as well as the detour that is needed to support this event. And so we talked about following the same event boundary that we use for Candy Cane Lane and Springfest which is what is included in your agenda packet. If you want to see their original requested event boundary, it is in your packet in the staff review. The specific request of the town is closure of downtown streets, use of public property for an event, waiver of the alcohol ordinance, fee waiver for the town to provide trash service, for the town to provide porta-johns, as well as reimbursement of fees and other expenses that are not yet identified. It is the board's opportunity to consider this event per your special event standard. This event approval is for you. There are 8 items within your special event standard for the board's consideration whether or not to approve an event. Those items are your nonprofit, if they are a nonprofit status or have a public purpose, if the applicant's substantial presence in the community, the history of positive contributions to the Zebulon community, if the event stimulates, encourages community support of nonprofit and civic activities, if the event's consistency with the plans, goals, and policies of the town, if there's potential for damage to property or harm to people, if there is ability of the town to support the proposed activity, as well as the ability of the organization to implement the event. Your staff report included some information for your consideration about each of those. Several of these are really just for the board's consideration, and so we did not provide guidance on those items. The special event standard also outlines how the board will approach fee waivers. There are standards that were identified. They include that the applicant is a nonprofit organization per state or federal tax law. If it's a Zebulon-based group, charter, or organization, if it is a community-focused event, if it's recreational event in nature, if the event is open to the general public, if the purpose is to facilitate a positive impact to the community, and if it meets one of your goals of the strategic plan. The fees, and according to the fee schedule, the town resources are noted as on this chart. We also had to include additional resources. The applicant has requested that the town provide trash support as well as porta-johns and assistance with the street closures. And based on the capacity of our staff as well as the event layout and our experience with Candy Cane Lane and Spring Fest, the costs were estimated as following on the Latino Festival. We would need to contract GFL to assist us with trash services. That is also something that they provided us for Spring Fest. We would also need to contract out street closure and traffic control. Our events are growing so rapidly, and the footprint is growing to an extent that our Public Works Department and our Parks and Rec Department can't support the overall needs of the event and manage the trash as well as the street closure. And so by contracting out the street closure, it allows our staff to focus on the immediate needs of the event. And this is also consistent with what we've done at Spring Fest. I have provided an estimate on porta-johns consistent with Spring Fest. The estimated staff cost as provided by the impacted departments totals $39,383. This does not include any assessment of the event request to date. We have spent about 28 staff hours reviewing this request and preparing the information for the board and the standard review. There is also an equipment value of $4,352. The total event value was $43,736. And just for your insight, when you review the staff capacity as well as the impact on the community. It's important that you have this information as well. This is a list of your upcoming events through the rest of this year. I did not have an opportunity to provide you with the information regarding next year with the updated application date for 2026. But I find that this information may be helpful to you. We note which departments are responsible for helping to support the events that are noted, and we have highlighted the 2 events in red that you have already approved for private rentals. Again, the requests from C3 and La Grande NC are closure of downtown streets, use of public property for an event, waiver of the alcohol ordinance, a fee waiver, trash service to be provided, porta-johns to be provided, and reimbursement of fees and potentially other expenses. At this time, I'm going to invite C3 and La Grande NC to introduce themselves and to share about their organization and their goal of the event, and then we will come back for the consideration of the board's review.
The keyboard? Okay, thanks. All right, good evening, Mayor York, commissioners, town staff. My name is Jennifer Acevedo Holmes. I am the founder, president, and CEO of Community Culture Celebrations, also known as C3. I am a resident of Zebulon. I also live in Weaver's Pond. Tonight, I come before you not only as a nonprofit leader, but as a neighbor and someone who cares deeply about the vibrancy of our downtown, the strength of our small town identity, and the future we're shaping together. Alongside me, our partners, La Grande NC, one of the largest radio stations in the region. We're proposing Zebulon's first ever Latino festival. This is going to be a free, family-friendly culture celebration that aligns directly with the 2030 strategic plan and reflects vibrant, diverse community that already lives here. But before I go any further, I wanted to clarify 2 important updates. Sheila and I have been back and forth in emails, and just due to time, an update I wanted to go ahead and call out. She already mentioned the updated date going into summer 2026 versus the August 2025. This gives the town and our team over a year to coordinate and deliver something very special. We also plan to host the event without sale or consumption of alcohol. In fact, this is La Grande's NC's preferred model for large-scale community events. Most of their festivals, including the one in Knightdale, have been held alcohol-free to maintain safe, family-centered experience. We'd love to take a moment to share with you folks a little bit of who we are. C3, we connect basically community and culture. We're helping people access what they need and celebrate who they are. In less than a year, we've partnered with town staff, leaders, neighbors to bring inclusive programming to life. As you can remember, the Christmas parade, we participated and had over 130 Latinos who joined our lineup, the largest Latino turnout in parade history. At Candy Cane Lane, we made over 100 Aztec-themed headbands with local families. At Springfest, we partnered with Taquiri Florco Latino, a local Colombian dance group who performed after all the rain that we had during that event, thanks to the fantastic support that we have at Parks and Rec. This isn't just about events, it's about making Zebulon feel like home for everyone. I want to go ahead and let my partners take a moment to introduce themselves and allow you folks to have more color of their organization.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for the time. I usually don't come out here and show face, but I feel very passionate about this kind of event, this kind of gathering. When we started Knightdale, the Latin American festival over there, it was more of we were hesitant to see if community would come and show out, and we are very happy that the community was already there. They needed a space to meet everyone else and meet more people. With Radio La Grande, we cover 75% of Eastern North Carolina. We are also the official Spanish radio station for Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC. They support our movement as well of gathering together, building community. You don't have to be Latino to be a part of this kind of event. It's more to show the diversity in the community. The town is growing. North Carolina is growing as a whole. I think that opening spaces, having these spaces can definitely strengthen the community. Community is already there. We just need to continue strengthening it. So I'm supporting this event, definitely. Sorry, I'm getting a little nervous, but thank you so much.
The youth.
And also, yes, as you can see on one of the pictures right there, we do have the youth as volunteers in the event. It can be at the bounce houses, the booths, as well as with the local businesses that participate. Certainly, they love to have an activity. When a town grows, a lot of youth is there, and they're always trying to find activities to do. If we can have a space for them to come out, I know that the younger generation's very shy, and this is definitely a space where they can build community within themselves as well. And yeah, yeah. Oh, and then we also, I'm sorry, we also had Serper and as well as Mr. Minty, which is the official sponsors for Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC. So that is also something that benefits the town as well. So as well as local and people around the area can come to Zebulon and enjoy this festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much, partners. I really do appreciate it. And they show their commitment here for being able to stand with us as we have the founder and the owner, Angel, here, and as well as Flor, who directly works at the radio station. So wanted to go ahead and just give you folks last slide here about our vision. And ultimately, as Shayla proposed, we are asking for a vibrant, family-friendly festival in the heart of downtown Zebulon, a joyful reflection of our town's diversity and pride. This will be, once again, I'm gonna state it, a free event open to all, where residents and visitors alike can feel welcomed, celebrated, and connected. And ultimately, we're here to be able to talk about what you folks see in your financial analysis, the total value of the $43,736 in-town support, if approved. That number reflects an estimate of town resources. It's not a direct payment to C3 or La Grande. I want to make sure that that is clear. The number reflects real costs of doing something meaningful at a large scale, just like we've done with Springfest and Candy Cane Lane. The difference here is I'm not asking the town to create this event from scratch. We are offering to lead the planning, leverage our nonprofits' local relationships, partner with La Grande's NC's turnkey ready model, and offer and offset additional costs through vendor fees and sponsorships. We honestly can't do this alone. If the town wants a curated, inclusive, vibrant Zebulon, this is what the investment looks like. This festival supports 3 of the Zebulon's 2030 priorities: a vibrant downtown through walkable, family-friendly events, a small town life by activating neighbors, local businesses, and youth volunteers. And I know in the presentation it said it didn't connect under the growing smart, but we believe by welcoming diverse traditions and creating space for connection, joy, and shared identity, we're growing as a town. So tonight, we respectfully ask the board to approve the event requests, to approve the in-kind support as proposed by staff, and to include this investment in the FY26 budget cycle so we can move forward with planning and partnership in respect of the next 12 months. This is not just a festival, this is about representation. It's about community trust. It's about living into the values we put on paper. By showing up for all of the people in Zebulon who call this place home. Thank you so much for the opportunity, for the journey that you folks have come alongside us as we learn and grow together, and I look forward to your partnership.
Thank you.
Do we stay here? We go.
I'll finish up unless you want to stay.
If we have questions, we'll be right here. Thanks.
While we transition, I do have an updated copy of the application that was submitted this morning that I'm going to share with you real quick, and then I'm going to come back.
Questions?
Now that you have that updated application, I'm not going to reread all of these, but I'm going to let this slide transition us into what is before the board this evening. So there's really two questions before you as you consider Resolution 2025-16. Does the board authorize the event as requested? And does the board wish to waive fees? As there's been a change in the application where they no longer wish to include the consumption or distribution of alcohol, if that is included in Resolution 2025-16, so should you move forward and take a vote to approve that, you would want to remove that condition within the resolution, but also if you could note if you are going to waive fees, not waive fees, waive partial fees, so that we can ensure that that is noted in the resolution. And I'm available to answer questions, and C3 as well as the Grande Radio or NC have stated they would be available to answer questions.
There is a sample motion on the next slide.
Questions, comments from the board? Commissioner Baxter.
Could you speak a little bit, because we've heard mention of Springfest, and we know that we have Juneteenth, which is a very big celebration for us. And then can you speak a little bit to the differences between Nightdale's festival and what the proposed festival is?
Sure.
Just like how they started, how Springfest started and Juneteenth started, and then kind of move through where they are now and after how many years?
Okay, and then I know. All right, so Springfest has been an event in the making for more years than I could tell you. It started, I would say it's got more than 25 years of history. It started at Whitley Park as Arts in the Park. It grew larger than what could be supported at Whitley Park. It transitioned into Arts in the Park at Community Park. Then there was a period of time where the town had, I believe, if off the top of my head I'm correct, it was around 2011, where the town was impacted heavily by the Hold Harmless funding, and it was associated with sales tax changing, and there were severe cuts made across the board to different services provided to the town, and providing a festival was something we were no longer able to offer. At that time, we transitioned, we offered festival or market on the lawn here for a couple of years that had a lower cost associated with it, but we were able to transition that with outside funding back to a festival, and it transitioned back to a festival on the lawn, which then, as we continued to grow that, brought in other partners, and we were working with the chamber, and that's where the 5K Takes the Cake started, and we transitioned the name from Festival on the Lawn to May Days. Yes, May Days. And as that event grew here and the chamber was no longer doing the 5K, we weren't as confined to this site, and we were having great success with Candy Cane Lane downtown, so it transitioned to downtown. So that there's been iterations of that for many, many years, and changing as the community adapted. Juneteenth started in 2020. Make sure I get this right. Members of the MLK committee were not able to move forward with their typical breakfast because of COVID, and they communicated with the mayor and stated they wanted to transition to that year to be able to offer a Juneteenth celebration. And at the same time, there was a private event just outside of town. I'm thinking it might just be in town. But at Todd Park, there was also a Juneteenth event occurring there as a private event. And the first year of the MLK committee's transition to a Juneteenth committee, they did that event at a local church outside. They wanted to move that event to Town Hall. They came to talk to us about what that would look like. We were doing the artisan market at that time, and we had music and other activities already planned. And so we invited them to come join us and be a part of it. And it's just grown from there. So it's been growing, and volunteers have been a part of that from the very beginning. It's very volunteer-led, and this year it'll be at Community Park and the Community Center on Thursday night, and it'll be at Community Park on Saturday. As far as the Nightdale event, I hear it's a fantastic event. The community really loves it. The staff in Nightdale speak very highly of it. And I've just heard great things. I know it's well attended and it's well organized, and I think that's fantastic. There's just a slight difference. Nightdale is blessed with Nightdale Station Park, and so the facility is a bit different than what we have before us, and so that's why there's such a big difference in the town resources required. Closing down the streets and some of the other resources that are necessary to do that are just substantially higher than being able to host the event in a space that's designed for events, and the only closures that are there are within the park itself, directly around the festival grounds. It does still take a good amount of town staff to support it, and but it's not nearly to the scale as what it would require of the town to be able to close the streets. I think that the partnership, the event that LaGrande and C has put on with Nightdale has been well received, and I hear they've done a great job. And so that's what I know about the event in Nightdale.
Thank you so very much.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Miles?
Yes. I'm looking at this sheet here, the pay chart here. One thing I'm trying to get to understand, how do we do it? You mentioned numerous times Juneteenth. What does that budget look like? How do we break that down and decide, okay, the amount of funds that go towards that event? Can you do that for me, please?
So Juneteenth is adopted by the Board of Commissioners. So there's been, we shared that there is a current allocation from the Board of Commissioners for $17,000 that's adopted with the budget for Juneteenth.
So they have a budget of $17K. And what kind of in-kind money do we give them? 'Cause I'm sure that 17K doesn't supply the police department, your park and rec, the man hours, staffing hours, or is that in that 17K?
That is not in the 17,000. I would have to look up what the staff hours specific to it were. I don't have that off the top of my head. But it would not be, it wouldn't necessarily be apples to apples because we're not closing down the streets. Does that make sense? There's still a staff investment. I'm not discounting that by any means.
Am I correct that staff also attends all the meetings for Juneteenth too as well? So we're paying staff to attend those meetings as well. That cost would be assisting that as well. Is that correct?
We are part of the programming team, like the planning team, where it's not a private event that we just pay for. We're part of the planners.
And is the public director here as well? That 15,000, I would like to get a little bit better understanding. What does that consist of for such a big number, $15,516? I would like to know what that consists of.
Are you asking?
Yes, I'm asking her what it consists of in 15,000. Go ahead.
I might be able to answer.
No, I think I would like to know what the public work director it entails that work consists of.
Did you say public?
Are you asking for Public Works Director to
Yes, sir.
purpose?
Public Works Director.
I think he stepped out. I saw him stepping out earlier. But that's a question we can ask. But I think...
I don't mind sharing. It's based on the exact same services they provide us for Springfest.
Yeah, but I'd just like to thank you.
Absolutely. I don't see him here.
Questions? Commissioner Davis?
I heard the applicant state possible sponsorship. Can you talk about how that might offset some of the cost if we have sponsorship? What does that look like? Have you worked with the other applicants for like Juneteenth or the Springfest or Candy Cane Lane?
Last year, I spoke with our Juneteenth committee about the possibility of pursuing sponsorships and what that would look like, but there were a lot of different things going on, and so it's not something we were able to focus on. We have worked, it's not in a private event request where they were asking to plan the event, it'd be their event, they plan the event, and then the town just provide those services in kind and provide some of the additional services. But I'll give the example of Deck the Halls that we did with the Chamber of Commerce in the transition year where they were trying to figure out how they wanted to move forward with a holiday event. And we had a movie night and some other things already planned. And so we worked collaboratively with them, and the agreement we had, we identified whose responsibility was what with the event. But they also they went out and got sponsorship dollars. And once all the expenses, the additional expenses were covered from the growth of the event, from what we originally had planned, it was a 50-50 split of the revenue. And as far as what their plan is with sponsorship, I'm not sure. That would be a question for the applicant, and as well as what you would be looking for out of that type of investment.
My thoughts were just, if this coincides with our 2030 plan, if we're trying to look for a vibrant downtown, this might be a great opportunity for partnership with our businesses downtown and what that looks like. That could help with offsetting some of the costs to ensure that.
I would like to discuss that in a work session.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is a great opportunity. I am extremely excited to bring a Latino festival to Zebulon. However, I think that we need to look at more collaboration and maybe just some different routes on how we can move forward with having a successful festival in partnership with our town, if that's possible. And it's not until next year, so I would like for us to just hold off and see what more collaboration we can get before we agree to what we have presented in front of us.
I agree with that, since we won't be voting on whatever budget would be needed for their event for the FY27 budget, since it's going to be held in July. So that would be in fiscal year '27. So we could work that into next year's budget.
For sure.
For me, it's going to give these guys, in order for them to plan accordingly, they're going to need to have some guidance on what potentially the town can do for them. If we wait till a year out, then you're going to run into the time constraint and saying, okay, now I no longer have funding for this event. Potentially, we need to give them some guidance if and what we may be able to do. We want to give them some insight so they can move forward. They are dealing with one of the biggest radio stations here in this area, as well as C3 is up and running. So it's going to be very important. I know this radio station, I don't think their business can jump up at the last minute and say, okay, we can make this happen. I think it's going to be important we give them some guidance of some sort in a timely manner.
I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying, Commissioner Miles. I think that we should give them some direction once we have better clarity and understanding of what it can look like for the town as a whole. Like, what does it look like in collaboration? It's not until the next fiscal year as far as budget. So I would hope that we could give them direction well before we even start talking about budget, but I'm uncomfortable with giving direction right now as it's presented to us, especially with it now being a year from now.
And I believe that, in the interim, C3 could, engage with their fundraising efforts and get a better idea of what the vendor fees might look like. I think that there are still a lot of questions and not enough clarity for me surrounding the plan for this event, but I want this event to happen.
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
I want to give the planners time to really work with whomever it is that they need to work with, whether it's, sponsors or with getting guidance from the town so that they can make this the absolute best event, maybe the best event we've ever had. That's what I would love to see. And I'm sure that it could happen, but I think that for right now, we need to push a decision on this until at least we've passed the budget and moved into the next fiscal year so that you can have conversations.
I would say I agree. I'm in favor of this event without question, and I am in favor of the town supporting this event without question. I just want us to make sure we have more direction on how we do that.
I think, Barry, that I see what you're saying. I think what it's going to give us guidance to, also give us time frame to get the numbers back from Juneteenth, because you got 17K we know up front that's allotted for it. I'm kind of excited to see the number of staff hours, because I know we attend every meeting. We're going to do different things like that. So that number, I want to see that tally there and that staffing hours. That's what we're going to cost a lot, because we do provide police, fire, all the necessaries to ensure a safe event right here. So I would like to see those numbers too as well.
I agree.
I agree as well that obviously we're 100% in support. I just want to make sure that we're not pushing out. If they're looking to have this summer of 2026 is my understanding, I don't want to push it so far out without the guidance. So I don't know what that time frame looks like of what you're requesting, but I want to make sure that it is considered an urgency, because this is something that the town definitely needs and can thrive off of.
Sheila, how long would it take for you to get us that information back, as well as question for Jennifer? C3. Would C3 be willing to do this in partnership? Like, would you be willing to have the town as a partner? Because as Commissioner Miles is speaking towards like staff involvement and staff being there. So I think that's a difference in us collaborating or us partnering with you all. So is that also an option for this event?
Absolutely. It's basically what Nightdale also does. If you would see it as a sponsorship more than anything for this event. So the town of Zebulon would be considered the presenting sponsor for this event.
Okay. That's going to be a key right there, that we kind of figure out kind of like what Nightdale has done, and then we can take it. If it's not broke, let's just kind of bring it here and make it happen.
Absolutely, and I've done my research with that. I actually had the privilege to meet with the director of Parks and Rec at Nightdale and also the assistant director to learn more of their best practices, so that way we can hopefully just copy and paste what they did to here in Zebulon. I clearly understand that we don't have an amphitheater as they do. However, I see that, though, it's still an opportunity for us, for those businesses in downtown, to be able to be showcased, as we had the great success with Springfest, even though it got rained out, there was definitely a vibration there that people wanted this, and it would just be a replica of that. And we see the town mostly as a straight partner versus us saying, give us the money, and then we just show up. We 100% need to work with you, and even in the sense of marketing for this event in your channels. And that's something that La Grande has mastered with the city of Knightdale as well. So we really do want to come alongside with you folks as partnerships. If I could ask for clarity in the sense of, it sounds like we would move forward for the fiscal year 27. I just want to make sure, as time, as everyone here knows, flies by extremely quickly, I want to make sure that La Grande NC and myself will have ample time to work with the town. Unfortunately, we've heard multiple times that due to time restrictions, due to capacity, we can't bring up certain initiatives, and I don't want us to go down that path since I am here 12 months before this proposal.
Sheila, are you able to get this back to us so we can discuss during our September work session and make a decision in September?
Maybe even before?
Or August?
September?
I said September.
Oh, September, okay.
Do we have one in August?
Yeah, I mean, like, September is actually probably would be enough time to at least have those conversations to come back before us so that so that C3 has the appropriate time to plan.
If that's what you want to bring forward, we could definitely have it done by then. I think the best step right now, if this is less of, this is their event and we're just providing support and making sure the street's closed, and more of a partnership event, then that's a different conversation. And we just need to be able to sit down and have the initial, if we're going to partner in something, what does that look like? Whose responsibility is what? And then we could come back and provide that information for the board.
That would be great.
I'd like to hear C3's thoughts. I'm kind of seeing thoughts on that. Just kind of see a kind of look at your head shake out there.
Oh, I thought she answered that. I'm sorry.
Appreciate the time here, folks. It's when we say provide guidance to us, I can't express how much I appreciate it, because I have been going in this completely blindsided. In no way was I given any directions to take steps 1, 2, and 3 in order to be here today, to be able to say, for a long time, I've wanted to be able to work with you folks as partners, not stand alone. And it breaks me a little bit that we've come this far, and it's still the fact of we're saying I'm standing here alone asking for financial support. That's not the case. And Shayla, if I didn't make that clear in the very first meeting that we had, I am full force wanting to work with the town to bring this event to life, because in no way capacity, if I wanted to do it alone with just La Grande, we can't. We need the support of the town in order to be able to bring all of the success that we want to bring to the branding level that La Grande has, because they have a very specific brand that they need to exhaust when they host events, because that's just what they do. We want to make sure that we're working in collaboration, and that's what got me to tie into your 2030 strategic plan, and as well as your Parks and Recs master plan. That's how I've done my due diligence to make sure that this does fit with your strategic planning.
I would like to just commend you with that, taking initiative to kind of bring something that we need, finding a void and willing to step up and fill that void. I thank you for that in advance. And we will, it's just an opportunity showing that we're growing. Anybody doing what you're doing right now as a pioneer, we're all going through those growing pains, and you're willing to step up and take that. And I thank you for that opportunity to do that.
When you're saying that you're standing there alone, I just want to commend you for standing there and taking the initiative. This is something that the town needs and thrives, and as you can see, the board is stating it's something that we want. It takes a heavy mindset to even think about the 2030 plan. So for the work that you're doing, you're not alone. We just want to see you go ahead and thrive, come back with a presentation of the partnership and what that looks like. So thank you for your efforts and what you're doing, truly.
Thank you all for just the opportunity.
Mayor and Commissioner, I just want to quickly give more of a broader conversation that you should be having, not just specific to an event, but how you want us to do events, because that's not necessarily a core function
Correct.
of town staff. Otherwise, if we have too many of them, I think slide number 49 actually lists between June and October and different events and activities. I just want to make sure that maybe on Saturday when we have a retreat conversation, we should talk about this some more. So we're not just talking about the Latina Festival itself alone, but overall, overarching goal, what's your vision for this? Do you want to do 15 events a year? If you're going to do that, then we've got to be ready for that. So that way we're not talking capacity issue. If we want to do 5, then we do it and we do it well. But I think we need to have that conversation. And then how we treat one event should be almost the same as we treat another. Having said that, however, there could be some other events that need more help than others, either because they're new or because they've done this elsewhere before and they can just bring the template. So I just want us to have that conversation maybe on Saturday, think more about what this looks like for us. I say that again because when you look at the staff, it's really difficult to quantify the staff time in dollar amount. So if you have police and fire providing support and it happens to have an emergency service at the same time, so what happens? And so I just want us to kind of have a holistic conversation around that again, thinking about core functions, thinking about capacity, but also thinking about equity in how we address all of these events over time. Some may be that we give more money or more time to, and others maybe not. But I wouldn't want them to come back and say, oh, you didn't treat us like the other one. So just kind of think through that. And I also have to throw in there that it could be that it's not just something that Zebulon alone does, but could there be partnership between us and another community to host some events together? So that way the burden is not just on us. And if you give us that direction, we could reach out to them and say, hey, for next year as we're planning this, we'd like to do this together with you, makes it better. Now, does it mean we don't host it here and we host it there and then we have to do it every other year? Just wanted to give you that overarching conversation, the thoughts rather. So maybe on Saturday we can discuss it further. And then when we now come back, that allows you to be able to make a decision with regards to this, because I see we all want it. Seems to me like that's what you all want to do, but you want to make sure that we do it in the right way, so to speak.
Right.
Okay. We don't have a procedure saying, okay, as she stated, C3 stated earlier, like I have 1, 2, 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4 to do. We currently do not have that. Is that correct?
Not really. I mean, I think
we have bits and pieces, but not necessarily.
If C3 was to come to our Park and Rec director and said, okay, I want to host this event, she could go and say, okay, I get this check sheet right here, and I go through each one, and by the time I get through 1 through 5, I have done everything I need to do. There's no questions asked, let's get this done. That doesn't exist, correct?
I know I've seen Sheila shared something with us, but I could be wrong. But I don't know if it's just for Sheila's crew and not necessarily the same in other departments.
Yeah. So when it comes to planning a special event, a private request, which is how this event came to us, we received an email with information and an application. So yes, there is a step-by-step. That's the special event standard, and it's on the website. And so it walks you through. You submit an application, it's reviewed by the committee, there may be a meeting if necessary, but the special event standard also encourages the applicant to come meet with staff as soon as possible, not to wait until, I mean, it doesn't say you can't wait until the application, but if we meet before you submit an application, it gives us time to collaborate and make the process a little bit smoother. But yes, the special event standard is on the website, it is board adopted, and it notes and it has a process flow map that shows how that process works.
All right, thank you.
So, go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to make a motion. So I'd like to move to deny Resolution 2025-16 as requested for a Latino festival and to not waive fees partially or anything else, but with the instruction to staff to bring an updated application to us as soon as they can so that they can start planning what I hope to be the best festival around, and we can make sure that they have enough time for fundraising and other stuff.
We need some kind of time frame.
Well, Sheila said she could probably do September
She said
instead of
August.
as soon as possible.
She said August.
I mean, I'm sure as long as the applicants are available and we can meet and coordinate, I'm sure we could come back before you in August if everybody is ready. September is definitely doable. I would like to clarify, so are you looking for them to return with another, like with their application process again? Or are you looking for us to explore what a partnership would look like between the town, like basically draw up like what a partnership agreement would look like versus a private special event request?
Correct.
I think that however it needs to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think just, I wanted, if we were the discussion part, yes, sir.
She's made a motion.
Yeah, so
Good morning.
And we need a second.
okay.
Motion fails. Okay. Discussion.
Better off, with what we're doing, we're going to table this. We're not denying it. We would table this
Correct.
until the August.
I just think that the actual application, like there's going to be so many details that will change. It might just be better for them to come back with either the new event, like the town partnership, whatever that is going to look like,
I think that-
or any
okay.
changes that they're going to make perhaps after talking to you in any of the scope of what they're asking for. That's why I said maybe it would be better to resubmit. Thoughts?
I think it's just best that we keep it tabled because that keeps it alive, keeps it on there where it keeps it active. If you deny it, it's completely gone. So with that table, we do that table and then we come back. Sheila's going to have something for us in August. It sounds as if I just don't want to lose an opportunity. We have one of the biggest radio stations here in North Carolina, along with a nonprofit that's eager to make this thing happen. So we work together with them, let them leave here knowing that we are serious about what we're saying.
Sure.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion
Make a motion
to table?
Table Resolution 2025-16 until
The August
August
4th?
Or September, which one's going to be more doable?
We're asking for.
Is this going to a work session or is for discussion with the board, or is this coming back to a regular meeting for a vote?
regular meeting for a vote. So I would like to make a motion to table Resolution 2025-16 to our August August board meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
I think it's going to be key. Like I said, just we work together, due diligence, that we make sure C3 and LaGrande know that they need to get with town staff to make this thing happen. Sit down and see what you guys look like, what you can come up with. That's going to be beneficial for all parties involved, and we move forward.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Roll vote, Commissioner Baxter. Commissioner Miles. Commissioner Harris.
Favor.
Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Motion passes to table until our August 4th.
I think C3 had one question, Professor.
Is there a process in place when it comes to partnership with you folks? I had the special events packet that was over 30 pages. I wasn't sure if there was a partnership package that I now need to reference.
That would be Sheila to make that
And
happen.
if that doesn't work, you can let us know, but yeah.
Sheila. There'll be a discussion that starts with the Park and Rec directly.
She just made it clear that there isn't a process or a package, in place, so I will have to work directly with her
Correct.
in reference to that. Okay.
All right.
I appreciate the dialogue tonight. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
And
you so
Jennifer,
much.
please feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luglande, as well.
Cool. Pierce's road annexation.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'll be talking you through the annexation request for the Pierce's Road, 1729 Pierce's Road, which goes in conjunction with the Pierce's Road plan development. Matt will be following up right after this presentation with the option to approve the Pierce's Road plan development, and the applicant is also here tonight. But I will start with this annexation and talk you through what that looks like. So the property, the applicant is TBM Partners LLC. The property owner is currently owned by the Wall-Purdy family LLC. The property address is both 0 and 1729 Pierce's Road. So 1729 is this large parcel and 0 is this front parcel. The PIN number for this site is 2707-125054 and 17-979-14808. And I just wanted to point out here, this area in red to the north is not being annexed, is not part of the annexation request, as it is not going to be part of the plan development that is being proposed. The acreage for the total site minus this area up here to the north, the acreage will be 161.046 acres. So public hearing notifications were sent out, signs were posted, mail notices were sent out for all properties within 750 feet of the Pierce's Road properties. The notice was sent out in the newspaper for the 2 Fridays before this meeting. And then as well, the hearing notification was posted on the town's website. This map right here shows you where the current corporate limits are for the town of Zebulon, as well as ETJ, the extraterritorial jurisdiction. As you can see, this map does not reflect any extraterritorial jurisdiction, but it does show that this property is just north of the corporate limits that encapsulates both Pierce's Landing as well as Weaver's Pond. And so both of these areas are currently annexed within the town of Zebulon, and this would continue to be a contiguous annexation within the current contiguous town of Zebulon corporate limits. So looking at the current zoning, this is going to be more applicable for the plan development request, but I did want to point out that we have a residential R13 district and a R4 district, as well as an R4 conditional district within the area of this property, near this property. And Matt will talk more a little bit about what was requested with the plan development and what you guys saw back during the joint public hearing. Annexation standards, the following standards are applicable when considering annexation: whether it has owner's approval, whether services can be provided to the site, whether there are any debt obligations, and whether this poses a risk to the public's health, safety, and welfare. Staff recommends approval of the proposed annexation and the adoption of Ordinance 2025-32 if the board finds the standards of Section 2.2.2.g are met. And I'm here to answer questions, and as well, this is a public hearing, so after questions, a public hearing will be opened.
Questions, comments from the board? Comments from the developer?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commissioners. Jason Barron with Morningstar Law Group here on behalf of the applicant. Just wanted to let you know we're here. Obviously, the next agenda item on your agenda this evening relates to the plan development that has been requested in this case, and we'll probably reserve most of our discussion until we get to that portion of the case. But certainly wanted to let you know that we are here, and we would respectfully request you all support of the annexation so that we can move forward to the plan development discussion. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
For me, I'd just like to bring to the attention that currently we have a development that's already going up on that road as well. I think it's 200 and some odd houses, 234, somewhere under there, 200, over 200 homes. Then you're going to bring an additional 510, bringing the total about 748, I think, I came with thereabouts, of new homes on Pierce's Road alone. So I have had citizens reach out with concerns about the volume of traffic that will bring to that road. So I do want to make that known.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Hearing none. This is an opportunity for a public hearing to express thoughts, ideas, concerns, opinions regarding the recommended the proposed request, Board of Commissioners. Board of Commissioners staff and the applicant will not engage in dialogue at this time. If the public has any questions pertaining to the annexation request, please contact the staff or the applicant following the annexation public hearing. I declare the public hearing open. Ask for public comment. If anyone wishes to speak in favor of the development, please come forward. State your name, address. It's on the annexation. Yeah, that's what I said. This is an annexation public hearing, which I declare open. Anyone wishes to speak, come to the podium. Anyone wishes to speak in favor of the annexation? Hearing none. Anyone wishes to speak in opposition of the annexation? Come to the podium. Hearing none. Is there anyone who wishes to speak neither for or against the annexation? Please come to the podium. Hearing none. Do we have any emails, letters, electronic messages?
No, sir.
At this time, if no one else wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Yes, I hereby move to approve ordinance 2025-32 for the annexation of Wake County PIN 2707125054 and 17979148808 into the Zebulon corporate boundaries, finding that the standards of section 2.2.2G are met.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing done. Roll vote. Commissioner Davis? Not in favor. Commissioner Harris? Favor. Commissioner Miles?
Not in favor.
Commissioner Baxter?
In favor.
Mayor? In favor. Motion passes. Plan development.
I'm here to present on the plan development application for 1729 Pierce's Road. As this is a relatively complex development, what I've done is broken this presentation down into 4 sections just to kind of orient yourselves to the topics that we're going to be talking about today. Starting with the background, just as a reminder, when it comes to plan development, there's particular standards in which the board must weigh its decision against. Those standards are on the screen, and there's an overarching standard that this through plan development process must deliver a product that is better than the strict interpretation of our Unified Development Ordinance. Kate just recently had this screen up. The applicant is TBM Partners. This is 161 acres. It is currently zoned Wake County R30, and the proposed zoning is planned development. The current zoning, when we get an application, we look at a variety of facts and things that are happening around the development or the proposed development. So it is abutted by a variety of Wake County residential zoning, including some watershed zoning. And to the south, it is abutted by Zebulon R4 and a special use district, which is the old version of a planned development, R13. So that development was approved under the old UDO, so we continue to hold that development to the standard that existed when it was approved. This sign shows that for the planned development application, the development has been noticed per our town requirements. A timeline of activity. Staff first began a review of this project in November 2024. The project went through our technical review committee, which is the staff level committee, on December 11th, and it's been through 2 additional reviews. The joint public hearing for this project was held on May 12th, and the planning board hearing was held shortly thereafter. Now we'll move on to the land use section. Zoning, excuse me. So the plan development is the zoning, but zoning is a tool. Zoning is not the land use. The future land use map is the policy, and we use zoning as one of the many tools to achieve our policy vision. So the future land use map designates this site as suburban residential. And what that means is, in general, one of 3 things are expected to occur on this site as the town grows. One of them is in bold, planned developments that integrate other housing types with increased open space to preserve an overall suburban character. Staff believes that this application matches that description, and we move forward. This is a site plan of the application. It's 511 homes across 161 acres. It has a gross density of 3.17 development units an acre. It features an amenity center and 2.6 acres of something else, be it commercial, institutional, or civic. And the applicant is here to discuss a little more details about that if you so wish. This development also has a significant amount of open space. That's 45 of the 161 acres, or 28% of the site. 8.4 acres are what we call active open space, and 36.6 are passive. When we get a plan development application, one of the things the staff does is we look at the application against what the strict rezoning of the property would be. And we look at this in 2 ways. We look at gross density and we look at net density. Gross density is the total number of dwelling units against the entire site. And so what this shows us is if this project were to be submitted under a strict rezoning without a plan development process, this is actually less dense from a gross density standpoint than would be permitted on the site by right. This project is 3.17 development units an acre, and the by right maximum for this area with the same type of housing mix that they're proposing between attached and detached is 3.9. The conclusion that we make from this is that this project has fewer units per total acre than is allowed by right. And we use the term less intense when this occurs. We also look at what's called net density, which is the total number of dwelling units on land that is solely allocated for those dwelling units. This excludes roads, open space, commercial space, etc. When you look at net density, this project delivers 6.1 development units an acre. And if this were to be done by right, this would require at least 115 acres. But instead, this project is delivering these amount of units on 83 acres. What this shows us is that the project is more efficient with land use, building the same number of units on a less buildable area and allows for more land to be conserved. If this was a conservation subdivision, which is another process that developers can use to build housing, this would potentially meet the base criteria for a conservation subdivision. Some additional details about this, there's a significant amount of open space. When you look at what is provided by this application versus what is required by right, the applicant exceeds that threefold. You look at the amount of active space required versus active space proposed rather versus what is required, the applicant meets that requirement. The impervious area will not exceed 46%, so 54% of the development at least will be green space, or at least pervious soil. There's been also some amendments to our perimeter buffer standards. The developer is proposing a 40-foot vegetated buffer around the entire site, hopefully using the natural buffer where possible. There's two adjustments to this: a type D buffer, which is our densest type of buffer, with residential property to the north on Pierce's Road, and our type C buffer, with residential properties to the south, and those are the properties on GG Lane. The developer is also proposing some residential design standards, which municipalities in North Carolina cannot require on our own, but we certainly welcome developers that are interested in proposing unique standards and creating unique product in our town. Another kind of unique feature of this development is that certain homes are going to open up, the front yards will actually open up onto a shared courtyard or an alley. This is not a new product in the history of humans building houses, but this is certainly a resurgent thing that we're seeing in planned developments across central North Carolina and beyond. The town of Zebulon also has what's called a utility allocation policy. This is essentially a public realm investment that's required to connect the city of Raleigh water. Each type of development has a certain number of points that they have to meet in order to qualify and have a complete application, and this development has met those required number of points. Now let's talk about road improvements. So in general, town staff looks at road improvements with any type of development. It's a crucial part of our evaluation process. What you see on the screen right now is a clip of our master transportation improvement map. This is a very high-level guiding policy. There's a deeper policy manual called the Comprehensive Transportation Plan. But in general, in this area where this development is, where the applicant would like to develop, there's a couple key improvements that our plan identifies. One is improving Pierce's Road to a two-lane divided road between Arundel and Proctor. The second is improving Pierce's Road to a four-lane divided road from Proctor to Farrell, and improving two intersections, Pierce's and Pippin, and Pierce's and Proctor. It's important to point out that Pierce's and Proctor is an impact fee eligible project. So as the town collects impact fees, it is a project that those fees could be spent on. And this is, I think, a better map that shows in general the areas that I've been talking about, and the star obviously is where the development is. So in the application, the developer has made these potential proposals, widening the road or widening Pierce's Road at where the site access in order to facilitate safe turning in and out of the development, a roundabout or a potential signalization of Pierce's and Pippin, and the Pierce's and Proctor roundabout that was initially part of the 2024 bond. Additionally, developing in Zebulon, all development is charged an impact fee. The impact fee for this development will be plus or minus $970,000, minus the contributions made to the Pierce's Proctor intersection, because that is an impact fee eligible project, and that's where we can deduct fees if a developer chooses to build one of our priority projects. Now, when we had the joint public hearing in May, I spoke a lot after the meeting with residents who had traffic concerns. I've spoken to several members of the board that had more questions about traffic concerns. And so it really gave staff an opportunity to really do a deep dive into what are the downstream traffic impacts of this development. Traffic is one of the chicken and the egg consequences of growth, right? And so I think, you know, this type of analysis, I hope, will add some data behind the decisions that staff has made when working with the developer to support this proposal. At a high level, we review often, sometimes weekly, depending on the types of developments that we're working on, the planned capacity and the average daily trips recorded for corridors without town. So this chart shows the average daily trips for the key segments that could be impacted by the Pierce's Road PD and their planned capacity. And then we'll use what we'll call a percentage full. So this is a very high level number. Of course, the real feel as you're driving the road may change peak hour versus the middle of a Sunday afternoon. But this is generally a guide to where the planning department will then turn around and say, okay, Board of Commissioners, we're looking at capacity starting to fill up on this road or that road. This is where we want to engage on adding improvements into the capital improvement plan. So as you can see, currently the black bold numbers are the percentage full. Now the red numbers is what I call the max scenario. So this is making an assumption that the average number of trips a household takes a day, which is 4.5, is added to the system, and all of those trips go to the Arundel Avenue intersection. So you can see that this is a very high conservative estimate. The real number will likely be less than this, but the max percentage would result in a new percentage full that obviously increases as it goes down Pierce's and picks up more cars, and does put the North Arundel interchange capacity, how the town has planned for it, at 100%. But as those numbers don't talk about congestion or the real feel, it just talks about the planning level experience, this information, I understand the text is really small, this information begins to show some color into intersection congestion. If you look at the red, the 2031 no build, that's the current rating on the intersections that the developer has identified as being impacted by this development. Now, this isn't like school. It's hard to get an A. D is considered standard or stable flow. And so if we're running these intersections at a D or better in a growing community, particularly as we're going through this high growth phase, and we have all these discussions about growth, a D or better is typically a success. When we look at the 20 or the second line, the second column next to the red, this says level of service degrades in the no build. That means that if we do nothing, the level of service will degrade from now to 2031. So that's that first column. So we look at the 2024 existing level of service. We look at the 2031 no build in red, and then every single intersection that's been analyzed degrades if we do nothing. The second line of red is what the level of service would be if all of the intersection improvements proposed by the developer were to be implemented. So you can see all but one of them of the level of service doesn't degrade. The only one that goes down the ladder is Pierce's Road at Golden Plum Road. So what does this show us? This shows us that the project does not expand the average daily trips beyond our planning capacity, except on the North Arundel Avenue at the interchange if the max scenario is realized. This also shows us that the project will not cause additional degradation beyond natural growth, but only if the improvements are made. It shows that the primary impacted roads stay within their capacity, level of service will degrade without development, and planned development, the planned improvements for this development augment new traffic, and they stop this level of service degradation, or basically brings the investment of the homes, their impact on the transportation system, back to a net zero. But these are just numbers, these are data, and we also have to take into account how people interact with their system. Even if it's a perception of congestion, it's a real feedback because the placebo effect is very real. Congestion does exist, it's true, and it largely, we believe, stems from the Arundel interchange bottleneck. This typically runs at a level of service C. Off-peak hour and on-peak hour, it can go down to a D, and then there's a couple TIAs for new developments that have portions of it in level of E. So this is largely a peak hour problem, and it largely comes from one place. When Pierce's Road and Zebulon Road coalesce at Pierce's Arundel intersection, it's the only way to get on the highway in that part of town. A lesson from the transportation bond and public feedback is that developers should contribute more. If you're to invest in Zebulon, we want investment that stays a long time and continues to sustain and create value over time. So how do we facilitate this? Well, after discussing transportation improvements and concerns with many citizens and members of the board, we went back to the drawing board, and our staff here looked at strategic connectivity. Where can we better distribute traffic and fix bottlenecks? This is important because it has redundancy for emergency response, and it also allows for local trips to occur off arterials. This brings arterials back to their primary purpose, which is to move traffic through. This also improves our land use as well, because transportation and land use are connected. Improves value per acre, provides more opportunities for trips by low speed and non-motorized means, from feet to bikes to maybe one day golf carts, because we have more ways that are slower to get more places, and it opens up more land for diverse development. We'll talk about that in a second. And so one place in which additional investment could help alleviate some of these traffic concerns is actually on Jones Street. The town has been planning to connect Jones Street for many years. And one benefit of connecting Jones Street is that there's an existing light at the interchange. So there's the ability to facilitate traffic moving from the north to the highway without getting on Arundel and creating, or enhancing, I should say, or exacerbating the stacking problem on Arundel on peak hours. The challenge with Jones Street is we cannot use impact fees to fix it or to connect it without a town board enabled offset, because it's not an impact fee eligible project. So this can happen in one of two ways. A developer must volunteer to build it, or we can build it with town dollars. And that, a portion of that, I should say, is a potential solution to the concerns about traffic we've heard from the resident. So the proposal here is to modify the baseline improvements that were mentioned on a previous slide. In this proposal, the developer will construct a roundabout or a light at Pierce's and Pippin, the roundabout at Pierce's and Proctor. Jones Street connection number 1, which is on the screen there, it's just north of the Latter-day Saint Church to the existing road to the north. And then the developer, per our policy, would pay any impact fee balance that's left if applicable. The planning department is working with other developers to construct the rest. These are different because these road improvements are directly related or adjacent to the sites that are developing. And so we anticipate within the next 6 to 9 months, we'll be able to discuss discreetly the completion of Jones connection number 2, number 3, and potentially even portions of the 2019 plan for North Arundel. It's also important to point out that Jones Street is planned to connect through to Shepherd School Road, providing additional redundancy around the Arundel interchange. So the Jones Street connection proposal, in my opinion, is a very important proposal. If enabled by the board, it allows us to accomplish some very key policy goals. One is it allows staff to implement what we feel is the most immediate pathway to congestion relief, while also improving emergency response to the north. It unlocks smaller parcels in the area that was once the town of Wakefield. Smaller parcels equal more diverse development, lower barrier to entry for local commercial and small builders. It's an equity decision. Completing Jones Street will complete a 2024 bond project without a property tax increase. And it provides clear precedence and a pathway for when I go work with developers and infrastructure negotiations in the future. And so recommendations and outcomes. Staff recommends approval of this application with the condition of the Jones Street construction. As approving the proposed plan development will do the following. It will introduce 511 new residential lots. It will create new commercial or institutional opportunities on the north side of town where currently there are none. And it provides key transportation improvements, both identified by our impact fee policy and by board policy in the past. The planning board also recommended approval unanimously 6-0. So how do we add Jones Street? It's an interesting motion. So what I've done is broken this into 2 parts. I've worked with the town attorney on this, and Sam can help if there's a simpler way to do this, he thinks. But effectively, if you were to approve the initial proposal that includes the developer's initial proposal for road improvements, which includes the roundabout, potential roundabout and light, and it includes some widening on Pierce's Road, the balance of the impact fee would come to the town in cash. The town can only spend that impact fee on identified projects. These are main corridors. These are widening Arundel, widening Gannon, things like that. If you choose to accept the proposal to spend some of that impact fee on extending a portion of Jones Street and working towards the completion of Jones Street, that would have to be mentioned in the motion. And developer, just so you're aware, may still pay a balance at the end if there's money left over for the development. We've done this type of identification of moving projects around through impact fees before, but all of those that we've done at a staff level are because they're already in the impact fee schedule. Jones Street is not, so that's what makes this different. So with that, I'll invite the developer up to discuss the project.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the Commission. Jason Barron with Morningstar Law Group. Is there a clicker? I apologize. I did it again. I'll keep my comments brief. Staff has done an incredible job in kind of describing the nuts and bolts and what's going on. As you recall, we were here before you last month at a joint public hearing presenting this case. We really appreciate the feedback that we received at every point up until the joint public hearing, and really appreciated the feedback we got during the joint public hearing. Since that time, a couple of things have changed with respect to the conditions. First, as was mentioned during the staff presentation on this case, there was that condition added to the case relative to the Jones Street improvements. And then second, as was discussed when we were here with you all, we added a condition requiring that there be a resident advisory board on the HOA, that it be established prior to sale of the 101st home in the community. Again, that was feedback that you all provided. We really appreciate that. Just to summarize the case, and again, we did a kind of a fully robust presentation last time we were here. I'm not going to run back through that entire presentation just in the interest of time. It's been a little bit longer meeting, but we're certainly happy to answer any questions that you all have. But I know TBM Partners is incredibly excited about this opportunity. They have worked really hard with their consultants, with the staff, to bring forward what we believe is a great community with a great plan that will be highly walkable. It will be highly amenitized. There are zoning conditions, very robust zoning conditions that are going to incorporate some really unique open space features, active as well as passive. There are zoning conditions that are going to incorporate the multitude of traffic improvements that you heard during the staff's presentation. And Commissioner Miles, just so you know, those developments that you mentioned relative to your concerns during the annexation hearing, those developments were included in the traffic study when the traffic study was run. I just want you to be aware. I confirmed that with our consultant that those were included. There were a number of other adjacent developments that were included as part of that traffic study. The conditions also speak to architecture, as was mentioned by the staff. The town doesn't have the legal authority to require architectural conditions for single-family detached and townhomes. My client has been more than happy to offer those conditions as part of this case to ensure that it's going to be the type of high-quality development that will elevate the housing supply and housing options in the town of Zebulon, will give people a multitude of housing types, too. This isn't just a one-size-fits-all, given the number of homes that are being constructed over here. There are a variety of housing types. There are smaller kind of townhomes, larger townhomes, smaller single-family detached, larger single-family detached. So you really provide an opportunity for folks to be able to live in a community and grow through that community, to be able to grow their families through that community process. And last but certainly not least, there's the affordable housing condition that I'm very proud of. When I was here before you all, last time I mentioned to you, I work in a lot of places where, like you all, housing affordability is a chief concern, and my client was happy to make the affordable housing commitment that's been made in this case, specifically as it relates to bringing in like a Habitat for Humanity type developer who will come in and actually take down some of the lots within the community and build their homes on those lots. So really excited about that as an opportunity. As was mentioned during the staff, and we agree with the staff's take on this case, we think this is entirely consistent with the town's comprehensive plan for this area. We believe that it's a finely curated, finely thought out, well-detailed plan that will fit within the town's overall vision as was stated in the comprehensive plan. We believe the conditions associated with the case are mitigating the traffic that's expected to be generated by this site. That basically the impacts that are going to be made to the traffic network, and we don't hide from that. We recognize there will be traffic when you're building homes, but those impacts will be mitigated not only by the improvements that come out of the traffic study that are being incorporated into the case, but also the additional improvements that staff recommended my client take a look at with respect to Jones Street. And so with all of that, we think this is the right case. We think it's the right fit in the right location at the right time. We think it'll advance the health, safety, and welfare. We think it's the right location. It's certainly reasonable in the public interest, and we are here to answer any questions that you all may have. We've got our entire consultant team with us, but we would respectfully request you all's approval of this case, and we're really excited to get to work. So, thank you.
Questions, comments from the board? Commissioner Miles?
Not to the developer, I just want to hear from the fire and the police, the impact that this community will have on your kind of providing service in a timely manner, ensuring that we'll be able to meet and do what we need to do.
Yeah, so this, as you are very much aware, this extends our footprint to the north. This will increase the need for a fire station in this area in the future. Again, as I've outlined in other discussions, we monitor our extension, our growth, and we track that. And the intent would be, as these subdivisions and these projects develop and come online, that we will be seeking sites to locate fire station facilities. This area, again, pushes that our current 4-minute travel time boundary. So this will be the beginning of researching area sites in this area to decrease travel time and spread our fire services out. So again, with it being the more fringe area, this will begin the work to do that. There already is a need. Weaver's Pond has a need. But again, it's just balancing need. This just intensifies that need a little bit more.
Can you elaborate when you say pushes? Currently, what is that time frame response that you guys have? What is that standard, and kind of how will this push that limit for you?
That's right. So we use a 4-minute travel time. That's a nationally established goal of the time that it takes from the time the fire apparatus leaves here until it arrives at the home. We're arriving in most parts of the Weaver's, as reference, we arrive in most of the parts of Weaver's Pond, especially those more core to the Pippin Road, in that 4.5 minute area. So you can imagine that the homes a little bit deeper are seeing a 5.5 travel time. So I would imagine this project would see some portions travel times in the 5 to 6. And that, again, that is not scientific at all. That is just based on our knowledge of how it takes to get in the very back of this area. You may see a 6 to 7 minute travel time.
So 6 to 7 minutes before you ever get to that site. Okay.
From our current facilities.
Okay.
So what our goal would be identify locations, and we do that work as this project is built out.
So it potentially will be over 3 minutes. By the time the project is completely built out, it'll be potentially over 3 minutes thereabouts. 3 to 4 minutes over the standard is what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Okay, I wouldn't want to be on the
And if I could just chime in on that particular point, it's one of the reasons that we have a condition in this case with respect to that commercial site up along Pierce's. There's a condition included in this case that's going to grant the town an option for 5 years if it chooses to act on it to, in part, if it desires to locate a fire station in this area, we're providing the town the ability to do that. That was something that was elevated to our attention early in this process, and it's one of the reasons why that condition exists, is to give the town optionality with respect to locations in this area to try to reduce those response times that are already strained, as was mentioned.
Thank you.
Police department goes on the emergency response time. Our vehicles, of course, are easier to respond than the fire trucks are, feasible and stuff. We do like the fact, talking to Matt about the roundabouts coming, those are quicker to make your way around than coming to a complete stop at stop signs, checking both ways. You're allowed to move ahead. And then also the improvement on the roads when they're putting in turn lanes helps us out tremendously. Also to part the Cs, when we're going through responding, because Pierce's Road is a little difficult when you have traffic coming towards you and you have traffic in front of you for them to get out of the way to either side, because there's really no shoulders. So that will help in the turn lane part. And then also when I spoke to Matt this morning about the Jones Street connector, that will improve response time tremendously. So, yep.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Any more?
I'd just like to bring that attention to the fellow board members. 3 to 4 minutes, I know me personally, I wouldn't want to be on that end if I'm that one sick. 3 to 4 minutes, we just heard our fire chief say 3 to 4 minutes over expected. If I'm that one at 3 to 4 minutes, that can depend on life or death for someone.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that to attention.
Yeah, that's our current situation. But
By the time
we build out,
it could be down to 4 minutes again.
yeah, and the possibility of putting a fire station on that side of town also.
But it currently doesn't exist.
For future planning.
It currently doesn't exist.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments from the board? Do I hear a motion?
I hereby move to approve ordinance 2025-33, finding that the action is reasonable, consistent, and with the Groves Zebulon Comprehensive Land Use Plan and compliant with UDO Section 2.2.25.J as described in the prepared statement per UDO Section 2.2.15G.3, with the condition that the developer shall extend Jones Street approximately 375 linear feet from the north side of Jones Street to the south side of 460 Jones Street in accordance with the Town of Zebulon Standard Design Manual for a local street, including curb and gutter on both sides, but without sidewalk installation. Should insufficient impact fees be available to offset such costs and further authorize staff to credit the developer's transportation impact fee toward improvement costs in fulfillment of said condition, or deem condition fulfilled if the town chooses not to acquire any additional right-of-way, if such acquisition is determined necessary jointly by staff and developer.
Motion, is there a second? Second. Discussion?
I'd just like to also discuss the health, safety. One of the first standards that we look at is health, safety, and welfare. As we just heard our fire chief say, that potentially can add on 3 to 4 minutes to that time frame. As I said again, I would not want to be my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, or anybody on that end receiving a 3 to 4 minutes that can decide whether it's life or death. That is a big concern for me. Also, we never really got the solution to the school impact. You put 511 homes, potentially you're going to have that impact on school. We all know that our schools are met at capacity already. So I want to bring that attention to the board as well, that we do not have the solution for the schools as well yet. So.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
We actually do have some solutions coming down the pipeline as far as the schools go. I mean, there are significant plans by Wake County to add 2 schools in the not too distant future. So that relief might happen at the same time.
Sounds like we're doing a lot of things off what ifs. The infrastructure is one of the key things that we focus on right now, and that is part of the infrastructure. That school, the health and safety, welfare of our citizens is very important. We just stood there and heard our fire chief say 3 to 4 minutes to potentially save a citizen's life. I would not want to be on that receiving end.
Further questions, comments from the board?
Can you remind me of the time frame of when this development will start and finish? What's the estimate?
Another 8-9 months to get construction drawings approved through the town process. So you look at, just say roughly this time next year to start the site work, if that answers your question.
So we're looking to start a year from now, so we're talking May of 2026.
And then it would take another year to get the first lots on the ground, and then another 6 months for houses to be delivered. But that site for the fire station that we're offering would be available very, very quickly, so we could solve that problem. We could solve that problem within a 12-month period if the town could fund that fire station for that response time that's currently a problem.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing, Commissioners? The completion of the fire station will likely predate any significant number of COs on that site based on current timeframes. The current fire station is being built over there. Yes, ma'am.
So the estimated time for that to be finished, that was my next question. The estimated time frame for that to be finished is?
26? Yeah.
End of 2026. Okay. Sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Roll vote. Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Commissioner Harrison. Commissioner Miles.
Not in favor.
Commissioner Baxter.
Favor.
Motion passes. Next, we will have Parks and Rec. River
Mayor,
Deep.
can we take a 3-minute break? 5-minute? Please?
How long was your, I thought he just had a brief question that he wanted answered, Commissioner Miles, about the Parks and Rec gift. Yeah, go ahead.
What I wanted to just do is get an understanding of kind of what artifacts we found, what it may be, and what it looks like. I did call the town manager today. I think he's back. I did call and wanted to get, I'm a visual type person. I wanted to see what we're releasing before we release it. Sure. And this was new to us. We didn't get any kind of prior notice that they would be turning this over to. So I just wanted to get a better understanding.
Sure. I was, hang on, see if, I'm not going to have a slide. Because I wasn't aware it was going to get pulled, but I do have a printout for you. So when we go through the process to develop the site, in that design process, we do some archaeological studies to just ensure that we're not going to disturb any property that is of significant historic value. And our consultant reviewed that process, prepared a report that was reviewed by SHPO that cleared us of the concern of disturbing any historically significant area with the project that we are currently pursuing. And through their study, they did find like real small shards of pottery. They found one like tooltip, like the tip of an arrowhead. But the guidance that we received from the consultant that it was not of display value, and that the recommendation was to complete this deed of gift and transfer it to the state where they would be able to appropriately archive the findings. And so I do have 4 pictures for y'all to look at just so you can see what it is. From just the eye, you might be able to point out what the tip of the sharpening tool was, but the other ones, they just look like shards.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. With that said, as they continue to develop each time they find more stuff, will this have to come back before us, or how would that work, Sheila?
So if you do continued development, like we continue to develop the other phases, any areas that have not already been reviewed by an archaeologist, it's been a long night, archaeologists, and cleared by SHPO, then we would, especially if we go to the other side of the river or of the park on the other side of the river, that area, you will more than likely come back. But this is only for the items that have been identified as potential specimens for today. So any future findings would have to come back before you.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? We will need a motion to pass, consider.
Oh, sorry. Thought you was done. I'm sorry.
So the motion is to approve the deed of gift?
Correct.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the deed of gift.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll vote. Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Commissioner Harrison. Commissioner Mile.
Favor.
Commissioner Baxter.
Favor.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I think someone says it's a 5-minute recess.
Yes.
You know what, let's just keep on keeping on it.
You want to keep going? Okay.
6 hours, 3 hours. Okay. We can do it.
Ari,
Yes, sir. Manager's report? Okay.
if I could, I see we have our Ms. Zebulon, and they've been sitting back there for a while. I just wanted to recognize them and see if they had something they want to say right quick.
I was going to recognize them.
I apologize, Mayor and Commissioners. I am definitely not as cute and verbally prepared as the ones that had the crowns on that had to leave. So sorry for that, but I am Tracy Alford, and I'm the Executive Director of the Miss Zebulon, Miss Wendell organization, and I wanted to speak to you on behalf of Ella Marks. She does not have her after nines, so she had to go. But she is working hard to publish her own book that she has read excerpts of to our community schools, and she is so proud of that. And she's, you know, like I say, publishing her own book after her CSI, which is her Community Service Initiative, Educate, Elevate, the Empower of Inclusion. She also wanted to let you know that Kindness Day in Zebulon this year is going to be June 12th. And the theme is Kindness in Every Heart. The Power of Inclusion will be her theme. And she's also partnering with Public Works like we've done in the past to do acts of kindness in town. Some things that we've done in the past was wash the Blue Star sign out front. We've planted flowers. We've run the sweeper to collect waste and leaves and grass clippings, and that was awesome. They love that. But more than anything, she wants you to know that it has been a pleasure to serve the town of Zebulon, and that she is ready for Miss North Carolina's teen, which is June 23rd through the 28th. And it will be live streamed if you can't come to High Point. So she wants you to watch as she competes there. And also there will be opportunity for you to vote for People's Choice Awards. So she would love that as well. And Ashton Thomas is our Miss Zebulon 2025. And she's a third-year architecture student at NC State University. And her community service initiative is RISE, encouraging young women in their pursuits of traditionally male-dominated careers. And as Miss Zebulon, she has launched her own website, Rise with Ashton, to provide resources for teachers and weekly architecture interviews and mentor-mentee connections throughout our community. And she really wants you to know about, in 2 weeks, she will be hosting a RISE Day Camp in partnership with Muter Construction. And it'll be at the Zebulon Community Center on June 18th from 1 to 4. And this event is completely free. It's open to all middle and high school girls. There are 25 spots to fill, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you can help Ashton fill those spots, she would greatly appreciate it. And she's excited for her journey to Miss North Carolina in just 3 weeks. So thank you so much for your support, and thank you for allowing us to speak.
Manager's report.
A couple of things I'd like to share with you, but before I do that, I'm going to ask Director Fitz to come forward and give you some update on our finances.
Thank you.
I will be really quick. Just got a few transfers to report. First of the year in cleanup and police, moved 5,000 from recruitment to vehicle maintenance. And fire, moved 4,500 from medical exams to equipment maintenance, and 5,000 from part-time salaries or vehicle maintenance. And Parks and Rec, well, you see the details. It's just required that we report it, so I'll make it quick, like I said. So, thank you.
Any questions, comments from the board?
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's none, I just would like to add to that as part of my report again, reiterating that we have a budget retreat on Saturday. Starts at 8:30 a.m. Breakfast to be provided at 8 a.m. We want to get you there on time. But we also want to be prompt, and so we're going to wrap it up by 12:30. The day will start with us kind of level setting in terms of where we are today, and then we'll do a deeper dive into the budget. Allocated a couple hours for that. So we'll get you the draft agenda to review before we finalize it and publish it. But we definitely welcome the public to be there as well. And then with regards to the town manager recruitment, I need direction from you. Just wanted to ask if it's okay to go forward on the same way we approach the police chief, we're approaching the police chief recruitment. We're sending out public survey to residents to give us an idea, what do you want in your future police chief? I'd like to be able to do the same thing with the town manager. To say, what do you want to see in your future town manager? Kind of create a profile for that. And then once we have that information, I'd like to share those with you as the next step. And then do a recruitment afterwards. We're going to do that recruitment in-house rather than have another consultant. We felt that over the last few weeks, we've had more successes doing our recruitment in-house. We're going to announce the recruitment of a public works director in another couple weeks. Same thing with HR director, same thing with our clerk, and also our communications manager in the next few weeks. I feel that doing this in-house, it's not just trying to save us money, no, but we know what we want. We have a very good idea also what chemistry looks like between staff and other people that they work with. While we know that a town manager job is not necessarily the same as any of those other positions, we feel that at this point in time, most town managers and assistant town managers are focused on budgets just like we are. And getting the right candidate right now may not be the best time to do so because they just are focused on budget. And so conducting a profile like that not only allows the community to weigh in, it also allows us to have time to build a profile that then will be used for that recruitment. So I'm seeking direction from you. I know it's your decision at the end of the day, but I think by doing that for over maybe 10-day period, we will be able to build a profile that we can then share with you before we do any announcement. So that's what I wanted to share with you and ask for some direction if you all feel that that is okay to do that. I'm thinking of using the services of our communications firm. They are the ones who are doing the police chief recruitment to do the same thing beginning June 11. If that is, and there's no extra fee for that, it's already in the contract that we have with them.
I would love you to move forward and go ahead and begin that process.
Like tomorrow. I mean,
The reason we said June 11, again, because we wanted you to get over the budget public hearing, budget retreat period, so it's not distracting.
No, thank you for that. I do think that it's important for us to, in the season that we're in, to ensure that we get our community's input on the decisions that we are going to be making moving forward. So thank you. I think that's a great idea.
So just to reiterate, there's no cost to us at all. The town, there's no cost additionally to what we already paid out or whatever it may be.
There's no cost to us. The cost for doing the public input is already included in the contract we have with NP Strategies.
Okay.
And then we'll do the survey. They will collate the information for us, just like they did with the budget public survey. But we also want to be careful that our residents are not survey fatigued, right? So we had one for the budget. We have one for police chief. So we think creating some gap between those two and the town manager will allow people to respond. but there will be no cost to us doing that in-house. Outside of the fact that we're going to advertise it ourselves, we're going to put it in probably the League of Municipalities, National Forum for Black Public Administrators, just ICMA, International City County Managers Association. Those will be the costs, but those are the costs we would normally have anyway if we're going to advertise something like that.
Okay. Thank you,
But
John.
at the end of the day, you get to make the decision. I just feel that if you direct me, we can start that process.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? We are in agreement to move forward.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We look forward to hearing those results back, sir.
Is that?
Look forward to hearing those results back from the citizen.
We'll share that before we post any position. Share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board comments. Commissioner Baxter?
So happy Pride Month, everyone. I am a firm and resolute supporter of celebrating Pride, and to everyone out there who needs to feel loved, I give out hugs. It is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's incredibly important for men to seek mental health services if they need them. A lot of pressure is put to not pursue mental health strategies in the male community, and so I would encourage everyone to make their mental health a priority, especially the men during this Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. The Eastern Regional Center, located at 1002 Dogwood Drive, is having its National HIV Testing Day on Tuesday, June 24th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is going to be provided free of cost, and the Regional Center asked me to reach out and make sure that people were aware that that was going to be provided. Please consider wearing sunscreen as we head into the summer months. It is incredibly important to protect our largest organ, and applying mineral-based sunscreen is the best way to protect your skin. Also, remember to maintain hydration throughout the season and to be cognizant of any no burn initiatives that the fire department rolls out. Be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful June, everybody.
I just want to personally take a time to thank all citizens who attended tonight's meeting. Your presence and participation is vital to our community, and we appreciate you taking the time out to share your thoughts, let your voice be heard. Your engagement helps shape the future of our town. Unity through community.
Commissioner Harrison.
First, I want to take the time to send our heartfelt condolences. The Board of Commissioners would like to express our sincere condolences to the town of Smithfield. Councilman Marlon Lee, who served on the Smithfield Town Council since 2013, passed away last week on May 27th. Today, I was able to represent Zebulon by presenting his family with a resolution from the North Carolina Black elected municipal officials, as well as speak on behalf of our town. So we want to send them our love. I also want to take this time to address the Clean Slate petition. This petition has been a significant topic of discussion in our community. On November 4th of 2023, I was elected by the Zebulon community with over 400 votes. A moment that filled me with immense pride and gratitude.
That sense of pride in being a Zebulonian, I cannot say that as well as Commissioner Miles, but I can say it, remains just as strong today as it was on Election Day. I deeply understand and I acknowledge the frustrations that many of you have experienced, not just in the recent months, but potentially over the past several years. To the organizers of the Clean Slate petition, to every citizen who chose to sign it, and to those who decided not to, I extend my heartfelt thanks. Your encouragement, your engagement in our local democracy, regardless of your position, demonstrates your commitment to our community's well-being. What's particularly noteworthy is that this period of adversity has accomplished something remarkable that no individual has managed to do as of yet. It has brought our board a little bit closer together. And for that, I am grateful. We are closer. We're not perfect. We have more room to grow and more ground to cover. But I want to assure you that your voices expressed through this position have not gone unheard or unheeded. As your elected official, I make the commitment that I will continue to work diligently, side by side, not only with my fellow board members, but also with the Zebulon community. Our goal remains clear: to ensure that that Zebulon moves forward on a path marked by truth and transparency. Your active participation in local governance, whether through support or constructive criticism, helps strengthen our community and makes us better servants that will gain the public's trust. Together, we can build the Zebulon we all envision, a community where every voice matters and where progress is achieved through open dialogue and collaborative effort. I want to thank Commissioner Clark for her service to Zebulon, and especially for being a guiding force to me as I have served on this board. Thank you.
As this season approaches, I always want to give a big congratulations to our graduates of 2025 and wish them great success on their endeavors and whatever they have in store that is in their next season. I too want to just reiterate that it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We cannot stress enough how important it is to support our men, for we know that oftentimes they are not as supported for mental health in the way that women are. So I just want to emphasize exactly what Commissioner Baxter says. If you know somebody, talk to them. Give them an open heart, give them open ears, and give him the support that is needed. I would also like to thank those that participated in the budget survey. I thank you for everybody all the citizens who participate in every survey that comes before the board. I too want to take this opportunity just to thank every citizen. I get theme music.
Girl.
Every citizen that not only voted for me, but continues to show support. I thank you for every phone call, for every text message, for every email that continues to show support. For those citizens that feel differently, I too hear you. And I want you to know that I do not take this role lightly. I am honored to be here. I promise to serve my community wholeheartedly. I am proud to say that I have sat next to 5 other individuals who I believe have done the same, and I'm grateful that we will continue to do so going forward. So I look forward to this next season. I look forward to continuing to work with each and every one of you, and I want to thank you for your continuous dedication and hard work, for I know that it is not easy. This is a 24-hour-a-day and night job. And to see the work and the effort and the dedication that you put, I will always give credit where credit is due. So thank you to each and every one of you, including our previous, but forever in our hearts. Beverly, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'd just like to mention that the Zebulon Lions Club is celebrating their 75th anniversary in the town of Zebulon. Thank you for the service over the years and being a great community partner. I too would like to give my appreciation for all of those who partake in the democratic process. You know, that's what this country is all about. folks speaking what they feel is their truth, and we will continue to speak our truths. And as Commissioner Harrison says, sometimes it takes adversities to bring us together. But we know that we all have the best in our hearts for this town. Some may see it differently, some may have a different approach, but I feel that we all want the best for this town to move forward. Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
I think just one last from me, Mayor. There's a citizen told me something that kind of said before. He said, we must not forget that the democratic process can be chaotic at times. But even in that chaos, we will survive and will thrive and come together as a community. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think acknowledge each one. I know the work that we put in, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Well,
Shannon.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
wait.
There's a motion. So moved.
Have a second?
Shannon.
All in favor?
Favor.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Great meeting, guys.